Oh boy, my favorite show. Boring. We need to be mad. We need to be angry. We're thinking too much around here, guys. How dare you? That is so cool. That is so fun. Oh my god, dude. That's so big, dude. We gotta have a better ground game to overpower the corporate media, structure, and the propaganda. I'm right on the polling. I'm right on that. That's undisputed in my mind. That's undisputed in my mind. Politics is more complicated than that. Waging political capital in an effective way. Boring. Politics is more complicated than that. That is so cool. That is so fun. Oh boy, my favorite show. Boring. We need to be mad. We need to be angry. We're thinking too much around here, guys. How dare you? That is so cool. That is so fun. Oh my god, dude. That's so big, dude. We gotta have a better ground game to overpower the corporate media, structure, and the propaganda. I'm right on the polling. I'm right on that. That's undisputed in my mind. That's undisputed in my mind. Politics is more complicated than that. Waging political capital in an effective way. Boring. Politics is more complicated than that. That is so cool. That is so fun. Oh boy, my favorite show. Boring. We need to be mad. We need to be angry. We're thinking too much around here, guys. How dare you? That is so cool. That is so fun. Oh my god, dude. That's so big, dude. We gotta have a better ground game to overpower the corporate media, structure, and the propaganda. I'm right on the polling. I'm right on that. That's undisputed in my mind. That's undisputed in my mind. Politics is more complicated than that. Waging political capital in an effective way. Boring. Politics is more complicated than that. That is so cool. That is so fun. Oh boy, my favorite show. Boring. We need to be mad. We need to be angry. We're thinking too much around here, guys. How dare you? That is so cool. That is so fun. Oh no. Drop the beat. Oh boy, my favorite show. Boring. We need to be mad. We need to be angry. We're thinking too much around here, guys.
I have some chocolate milk.
How dare you? That is so cool. That is so fun.
Yum.
Oh my god, dude. That's so big, dude.
Oh wait, this chat isn't working. Thank you for dropping
You gotta
a
have
like.
a better ground game to overpower the corporate media structure and the propaganda.
Delicious.
I'm right on the polling. I'm right on that. That's
right.
undisputed in my mind.
Let's get this chat working.
That's undisputed in my mind. Politics
good.
is more complicated than that. Waging political capital in an effective way. Boring. Politics is more complicated than that. That is so cool. That is so fun. Oh boy, my favorite show. Boring. We need to be mad. We need to be angry. We're thinking too much around here, guys.
Yum.
How dare you?
That is chocolate milk I got here. Thank you for asking.
That is so cool. That is so fun. Oh my god.
What is
That's
top
so
chat?
big, dude.
I don't know. Top chat.
We gotta have a better ground game to overpower the corporate media structure and the propaganda.
Yeesh. Another one.
I'm right on the polling. I'm right
Filter
on that.
spam.
That's undisputed in my mind.
You use live chat. Maybe someday I'll do some Twitch streaming. If I ever get bigger, I'll do Twitch stuff.
That's undisputed in my mind. Politics is more complicated than that. Waging political capital in an effective way. Boring. Politics is more complicated than that. That is so cool. That is so fun.
Okay. How is everybody doing? I hope you're doing well. I saw this already. At least most of it. During a drive. But, Vaush finally came face to face with Krystal on Krystal and Kyle's podcast. Where is the really funny video of Vaush critiquing Rising? Like Vaush, okay, Vaush Rising. The Nazi one? What? Where is it? There was like an animated thing, right? Vaush Rising Krystal dumb. It's raining and you're at work. Why can't I find it? I need this. Does anybody have the video where Vaush describes why he hates Rising? Why Vaush hates Rising? It should be a clip channel, right? I literally cannot find it. Why Vaush hates Rising? I guess I'm gonna give up. Krystal. Yeah, I don't know. Does anybody know what I'm talking about? Why is Tara Reid trending again? Oh, never mind. How about that January 6th commission? It's not happening. What the heck, dude? Paddington 2 isn't the top movie of all time anymore? It's only at 99%? What the heck, dude? This is a national tragedy. Democrats deliver. GOP betrayed America. He deleted his anti-rising videos? No way. There is no way. The anti-rising videos are still up, but I want the very specific Vaush rant where he describes why Krystal Ball is bad. Like what she does on Rising that is bad. It's this clip. Can you send me it on Discord, Chicken Fried? No, he didn't delete anything. Can you send me it or put it in the general chat on Discord so I could click on it? Somebody did an animation thing about it where it's like Krystal Ball and Sagar both agree that evil elites are controlling society. And then Sagar says a bunch of like neo-Nazi Jewish question stuff, and Krystal Ball sitting there like, yeah, you're right, Sagar, or whatever, that video. He went pretty soft on her, in their actual conversation. The Rising News is, yeah, I know the show's done. The show, I can't believe Vaush single-handedly took Rising off air.
There is a reason why no one else is doing it. It's not easy.
No, the reason why is because there's only one slot for The Rising that's being managed by a Republican producer for a company that is owned by a friend of Trump.
Okay, I can't find it, whatever. It would be really good to show this video for context, though. It's from that clip, but it was literally like a 1 minute long like thing that was spread around Twitter. It was a 1 minute long clip. Somebody took it and made some edits to it. It's like, you know, what I said before. But Vaush has done, or he has said very bad things about Krystal Ball. Fascist enabler. All right, let's see the actual video. Krystal Ball, Vaush. Did you see the clip Vaush posted on Twitter? That's what we're gonna watch. Watch, not wash. Okay, Neo. I'm looking for the edit of Vaush talking about why Rising is bad. It was like a minute long, maybe a minute 30. Vaush explains how like Krystal and Sagar are talking to each other about how they agree that elites are controlling society. And then like Sagar will talk about like a Jewish conspiracy theory or something crazy. And Krystal won't push back on it because, you know, they're both friendly populists. They agree on the populism part. Does nobody remember that? Vaush is overdubbed on top of Sagar and Krystal? I think so. That might be the one. Do you have it? I would very much appreciate that before we watch this clip so I can give an example of what Vaush actually said about Krystal Ball. Kyle Kulinski put this on his channel as far as the actual thing goes. There you go. This is how far I saw into it, around like here. Vaush explains his issue with Krystal Ball to her face. If anybody has it, can you put it in Discord? This one, thank you. White flags in Discord. Thank you so much. This is the one I'm talking about. Just gotta open it now. Here you go. Copy. This
a
one.
pride flag for their LGBT month. And Krystal Ball will say, yeah, well, this is good, I guess, but we have to recognize that corporate hegemony is never going to sincerely, you know, promote the interests of gay people. This is just a virtue.
Okay, let's before we start, Cockeyed Rooster, thank you again. The amazing Cockeyed Rooster for super chat $5. Krystal could be getting hit in the face by Sagar doing the fascist salute, and she would still smile and say, "That's right, Sagar." I mean, I think she's, yeah, basically. She's so, like, over-agreeable with Sagar and anybody that's, like, populist. So here we go. So the conversation we've all been waiting for, Vaush, Krystal Ball, and Kyle Kulinski. So Kyle put this up on his channel. Vaush explains his issue with Rising to Krystal's face. For context, this is the type of thing Vaush has said about Rising. This is some hardcore stuff right here.
Signaling attempt to get their attention. And Sagar will say,
You're completely right. This is just virtue signaling. Corporations have been brainwashed by post-Frankfurt neo-Marxist academics who are trying to disseminate an anti-white agenda by educating the wealthy and the children of the wealthy to hate white people in the pursuit of a wokeness cult.
and Krystal Ball will say, well, I don't know if I agree about that, but I do agree that corporations are bad. And Sagar will say,
Yes, corporations are bad. You know who else believes that? Tucker Carlson. Let's go to a Tucker Carlson clip, folks.
cue 2 minutes of Tucker Carlson in the middle of a segment about how black people aren't humans, talking about how corporations are bad because they support black people, but in like an insincere way. Then they cut back to Rising. Yeah, wow, you know, you gotta hand it to him when he says stuff that could be a right or left-leaning position. It's really kind of ambiguous, you know? And then Sagar will say,
Yeah, I completely agree. I really do think the insincere attempts to appeal to the interests of BLM on the part of corporations really signals how corporations are furthering the downfall of Western civilization. Really, it is nearly impossible for conservatives to imagine themselves living in the glorious, culturally hegemonous America that they once lived in back 50, 60 years ago, as long as these corporations continue to shill for anti-white agendas.
and then Krystal Ball will say, well, I don't know if I agree about that, but at least we agree corporations are bad. And then the segment.
The entire theme of the show, Rising, is that there is a left-wing populist and a right-wing populist. So Krystal is pretty innocent with her populism. She envisions an idealistic world where everybody comes together against the evil elites. All these people are simply, all these white conservative working class voters that voted Trump. It's a big misunderstanding based on class issues. That's why she has been called a class reductionist. It's really innocent, It's a very childish understanding of the world. And Sagar is a right-wing populist. So he, as Vaush says in this video, whenever he talks about like corporations being corrupt and, people coming together at the bottom, he isn't really sincere about any of it. But like Krystal Ball plays into it being like a useful idiot for Sagar's right-wing conspiracy theories when Sagar's talking about how like woke BLM culture by corporations is going to lead to the downfall of like Western culture and civilization. Sagar is basically a mini Tucker Carlson, and Krystal Ball enables that. And Vaush has called Krystal Ball many times a fascist enabler, or an enabler of, fascist Sagar. He called her dumb. He called her a stupid B word multiple times. He got fired up reacting to Krystal's videos on Rising. But ever since he knew he was going to be on her podcast with Kyle Kulinski, Vaush started to turn it down a little bit and stopped criticizing Krystal Ball. So that brings us to today, when Vaush finally comes face to face with Krystal Ball. So this should be interesting.
So Vaush, I'm told that you've said some not very nice things about me and are not a big fan of Rising. I'll be honest with you, I haven't actually watched, so I'm going to assume everything was said in like good faith and substantive, etc. I can't watch.
Why do you assume that?
Too much of a fragile, special snowflake to actually watch. But tell me in your own words, like, what was your issue with Rising, with me working with Sagar? Like, lay that out for me.
So I won't speak ill of Sagar because I don't want to put you in a position where you have to defend like a coworker in front of me, because I think that's a really
well, listen, Sagar has plenty of cringe views that I'm happy to tell him.
She won't defend him. No.
By the way, I like the whole color scheme here. I like the aesthetics. And Vaush is matching it with his lights.
No, okay.
Really pretty.
I know, because I've been put
Easy
in that
on the
position,
eyes.
like, oh, you have to defend your friends, whatever. So I'll say this much: I've seen a lot of your solo content the past couple of months, and I find it generally extremely agreeable. I think that you have a very specific intention when you do your work on Rising, when you work with Sagar, right? And it's to convince people fundamentally that the Democratic Party is bad. This is a noble goal, okay? It's one that I agree with. And it's one that I think that you are very effective in delivering in many instances as well, because some of the blatant hypocrisies of the Democratic Party, I feel like they can be very it can be very difficult to call them out unless you're willing to go like full hog on it. You know what I mean? Going the full hog, you really go into it. And I respect the hell out of that. Sometimes I feel like these criticisms, they implicitly downplay the threat of the Republican Party, which works sometimes as a rhetorical strategy. Because again, the more afraid people are of the Republican Party, the more likely they are to accept anything the Democratic Party will give them. So you need to do that to an extent. But at the same time, I disagreed with the extent to which you seem to at some points. One of the big examples.
Krystal Ball will actually let Republicans take power. She will let illiberals take power before supporting Democrats, and that's one of Vaush's biggest issues with her. But as you can tell here, internet culture is a little bit different when you're face to face with somebody, or at least in a video format. Vaush is so tame here. I actually made a meme about
to do that to an extent, but at the same time, I disagreed with the extent to which you seem to at some points. One of the big examples being the January 6th Capitol riots. Now, did I think this was going to like overthrow the U.S.? No, God, no. Like the crazies invading the building, whatever. The main threat, I thought, was the normalization of the January 6th Capitol riots by basically the entire Republican Party. That time they normalize it, sure. Next time, maybe a couple Democratic senators take a cap through the forehead when they stand too close to an open window, and then we start seeing those justifications. Eventually, we start talking about, beer hall putsches, which is what I'm trying to stay away from.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I think you misread my intention, though, a little bit. And I also would say, I think if you watch my coverage or our coverage of January 6th, I would certainly let Sagar speak for himself, but I was certainly as, appalled and
yeah, but up to that point, Krystal Ball was treating it like a game because she hates Democrats so much. She hates liberalism so much. And by liberalism, I don't mean like liberals in the ideological sense. I mean liberalism as in our democratic format. She hates the way the current system operates in every way. So these illiberals on the other side calling for the end of our democracy, that wasn't that scary to Krystal Ball because, the elites are controlling society. I'm not afraid of Trump or whatever. All these people that are openly lying about elections and everything. Krystal Ball famously had her video where she said, I was expecting a coup this election, if anybody remembers. She was literally talking about it in such here's one of the videos of her saying that actually.
As you possibly could be of that particular event. More of my intention with Rising and the work that I'm doing with Sagar, which you probably know, we just did our last Rising, but we have new things coming, so it's not like my partnership with Sagar is ending.
Best of luck.
Well, thank you. More of the intention is right now, I feel, and you can tell me if you think that this.
Every threat from the right, she would approach it with this exact.
Well, folks, not sure what happened here this past week, but I am sorely disappointed. I mean, I have been promised a fascist authoritarian coup directed by Vladimir Putin himself for 4 years now, and I'm getting a little impatient.
Did you guys know coups happen in one day? But she just enabled the far right, in every turn. And she hates Democrats to the point where she would rather have somebody like Trump win than support Biden, which is a crazy thing, of course. She was Bernie or bust. Did she vote Biden in the end? I'm not sure if she did, but
this is correct, that the country is splitting along sectarian lines in a way that is really, I think, very troubling and maybe one of, in my views, the biggest problems that the country faces. Now, as Kyle said, in terms of elected leaders or thought leaders in Washington who are populist right now, it's a total fraud. But do I know from working in West Virginia and growing up in rural Virginia and living in Kentucky, living in the Rust Belt in Ohio, do I know that there are people there who have economic views that we could very much work with, who are very mistrustful of the establishments of both party, who could potentially be
people don't vote on those economic issues. I agree. If you're a progressive in rural America, as I am, you need to approach it in a problem-solving manner. You can't go straight for the culture war. Although people vote on the culture war, you need to try and focus them on policy as much as possible. But there isn't a many marks hiding inside of every white working class voter. That simply isn't true. More than half of Trump's white working class voters, more than half feel that white people are discriminated against in America worse than black people are. Literally, Trump's voter base thinks that white people are being replaced in America. The white replacement theory, they believe that stuff. Culture war is the big reason people vote how they do, but she believes in an idealistic world where people are going to vote in accordance with their class interest. But we literally have people appointed by Trump. We have an entire Republican Party right now that is openly for anti-democratic functions. And white nationalism, literal neo-Nazis. An entire party is being held captive by populist demagogues like Trump, but she can't see that threat. She really assumes if we just keep on denying Democrats political power, if we deny them power, then the entire country is going to realize that elites are controlling us, and all the working class people of every background are simply going to come together in one big dance, in one big swooping motion, and change our country. There's going to be a big revolution in the streets full of working class people. That isn't how this functions. That isn't how this ever works. It's great to believe that. I mean, when I was like really immature, I believed that too, that everybody can come together and hold hands around these issues, but that's not how this works.
Into
I wish it was true.
Actual multiracial working class coalition. Yeah, I believe in that. And so the project of Rising and in working with Sagar in general is more in finding ways where we can actually view have regular people view each other not as the enemy, recognizing that actually your adversary is the people who are holding power, who are keeping the status quo system in place, versus like if you go on Tucker, if you watch what Tucker does, he's saying like you need to be afraid of your neighbor. Your neighbor is an existential
threat. But you have to call out Sagar when he does that. Sagar never talks about what he wants done in our country. They both simply agree that corporations are bad, and the issue is left there.
And he has culture war bullshit all the time.
I use the same rhetoric with people when I try to convert them. I try this all the time. I'm like, okay, don't be fighting each other. The rural-urban divide. Black Lives Matter. There are real systemic issues at play. Working class people got to come together. We got to fight for each other. Who do you think you relate to more? I'll say this to people. Do you think you relate to Donald Trump more or another working class person or like an immigrant? They really, like a lot of people, a lot of white working class voters think that Trump is more relatable than actual fellow working class people because culture issues, the culture war stuff is what really drives people out to vote. All these rural voters from like rural America, they came out because they were afraid of immigrants and they hated immigrants. I wish they came out because Trump was some type of like working class, populist demagogue. He wasn't that kind of populist. As much as we want to think he was, that isn't the case, and it's really frustrating to see her say stuff like that.
Mainline Democrats as well of like these people are different. They're evil. They want to destroy they're fascist. They're all racist. All of them are irredeemable. And are there racists who voted for Donald? Of course. Yeah. Are there plenty of people with like bad views? 100. Yeah, sure. But to dismiss the entire half of the country as like, those are evil, bad, irredeemable people, I think that leads the country in a very bad place.
I agree with what she's saying. Like, I agree with this. Generally, like you can't approach people like they are like evil monsters. People are taught to act a certain way. They grow up with certain beliefs based on where they grow up, based on their families and all that stuff. You can't treat them like a crazy fascist, neo-Nazi, whatever. Most people who are complicit within that stuff, within these systems, of like racism and racist beliefs, they don't even know how they got there. They don't understand how anything works. You should approach them in a very understanding way. But that doesn't mean, you can both like know this and understand that we have to treat people like human beings and not be an idiot when it comes to politics like Krystal Ball is. But yeah, I agree with what you guys are saying in chat. Krystal Ball, Jimmy Dore, Kyle Kulinski to some extent, they're like populists above all else. They don't see liberalism as a useful function, democratic norms. They would be authoritarian if the system allowed them to. But I agree in chat. I think Vaush taking this approach where he is playing with kid gloves, he's not going too aggressive at Krystal Ball. I don't think being aggressive with anybody is conducive to actually changing any minds. You can be aggressive towards like a public figure, like a politician, if you want to like make a example out of them, like this person isn't fighting for you or whatever. But when you're connecting one-on-one with somebody, it's never going to be good to just be like angry and yelling at them. Like him calling Krystal Ball an idiot right now wouldn't help whatsoever. But introducing the topic as he's about to, I think is pretty effective.
So I think maybe some of the criticism of Sagar and I that I've really reflected on and that I used to kind of like object to is this idea that maybe we emphasize our commonalities too much. But as I've reflected on that,
yes, he did do the same thing with Timmy Pool.
No, that's actually intentional because we get people who have watched us truly across the entire ideological spectrum who come to us and routinely say, like, you know, it's a right-wing person, but they still respect me, and they come to realize, like, oh, so this person in my life who has very different politics than me, they're not the enemy. We're able to talk about politics again. We don't hate each other. We've been able to heal those relationships. So that's actually more of the intent of the show than just like making people think that the Democratic Party is bad, which I'm also happy to, you know, I gave Biden a lot of credit when he did the vaccine, like the patent protection, and said, hey, we shouldn't do that, even though I'm waiting for follow up on that. So where they do good things, I try to give them credit. And it's really not the core of what I'm all about, to convince people that the Democratic Party is like uniquely evil.
Thank you for $5, Ron, in the super chat. But that's what Sagar does. He divides people with a culture war. One of his final segments was on John Cena, of all people. Yeah, that's a interesting thing with the far right people, the populists, fear-mongering about China. That's the new big thing.
Okay, I think that's a
and
completely favorable.
John Cena, of course, said something. Didn't he say like Taiwan was a country or something, and he had to walk that back? He's like, I'm so sorry, China. Taiwan is not a country. Definitely not.
It's people that the Democratic Party is like uniquely evil.
Okay, I think that's a completely fair rebuttal. The thing you said about like,
wait, Trump ran to the left of Hillary. That's why he won in 2016. Culture war is not a significant factor. That's not true whatsoever. Poor white voters were more likely to vote for Clinton than they were rich white voters were. So if you're a poor white voter, you were more likely to vote for Clinton. If you were a rich white voter, you were more likely to vote Trump. Trump won because people from rural areas that don't usually vote voted because Trump played into their emotions about the culture war stuff. That is the reason. I could pull up all the voting data on why people voted for who they did. It wasn't economics. The first number one issue was like immigration. They are afraid of cultural displacement. They are afraid of BLM and violence. They are, you know, all the BLM stuff, all the back to blue. They're afraid of all that stuff happening. If you are a poor white working class voter, you probably voted for Clinton. If you are from the suburbs, you probably voted for Trump. Class played little to no effect in like 2016 versus Clinton. Other than if you're poor, if you're a working class person, you're more likely to vote Democrat. Trump didn't run to the left of Hillary. He played onto the culture war. And she was a terrible candidate all around. She didn't appeal to that populism whatsoever. You need to still use populist rhetoric when you're running as a Democrat and all that stuff. But like, it's saying culture war isn't a factor in elections is like saying addition isn't a factor in math. Like, people don't vote based on policy prescriptions. They don't vote based on policy debates. It's in the data. But still, even knowing this, even knowing people vote on culture war stuff, even knowing voters vote on emotions and all this stuff, we should still treat every voter with respect. We should still try to improve conditions for everybody. We should be making that the goal no matter what. We should be letting people know we are fighting for them, because as progressives, we need to actually fight for them, get them jobs, fix their communities, solve things like the opioid epidemic in their communities, access to like rural hospitals and all that stuff. Still be there for these people, because if we do not make it clear that we are fighting for them with like union jobs and all that stuff, then it does make it more easy for a Donald Trump to come in and say, hey, immigrants are stealing your jobs. It makes it more of a zero-sum game. People like Trump can swoop in when Democrats, when progressives, when working class, when union people, when we don't do our jobs, or when we are unsuccessful in doing our jobs because of other reasons. So we still need to treat every voter with respect, but you have to know the playing field as well.
I think that's a completely fair rebuttal. The thing you said about like don't demonize your neighbor, I think is extremely important.
Yeah, and look at that too. After Trump's entire first term, doing nothing for working class people whatsoever. He literally did nothing. The economic downturn we faced before the presidential election was so terrible, and his voters remained like solidly supporting him no matter what he did, no matter what tax breaks he gave to corporations, no matter what. He didn't fulfill, and he didn't even try to do an infrastructure program. People don't vote based on policy. I wish they did. We'd be in a very different place as a country right now if people voted on that stuff. But no, they don't. After his first term, Trump barely lost any of that strong support. The support Trump did lose was in the suburbs, because suburban people, Biden won in Georgia because of the suburbs around Atlanta. He won in Pennsylvania because of the suburbs around Philadelphia. Those were the big swing voters in the 2020 election. Suburban voters voted Trump in 2016, but Trump was too offensive for them in 2020, and they didn't feel like dealing with him anymore. That was one of the big reasons Trump won. It wasn't because of policy, or Biden won. It wasn't because of policy. It wasn't because of anything other than social connections, because suburban voters didn't want to deal with him anymore, and they didn't want to be associated with Trump. They didn't want to see it happen anymore, or whatever. Like, he was uncomfortable for them.
One of the biggest problems that we have that I have, I guess, because I debate a lot of people. I bring people on all the time.
I agree. Hillary ran a terrible campaign. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is cultural issues matter. That's why Democrats talk about guns and Republicans talk about immigration as like their main fear-mongering points.
They play to their bases. I debate a lot of people. I bring people on all the time. Hundreds of people at this point now I've talked to. And one of the biggest things I noticed.
Wait, Trump promised some kind of universal health care? When did Trump promise universal health care? What kind of shrooms are you taking? What kind of Joe Rogan DMT type stuff are you on right now? What universal health care did Trump talk about?
Is a sense of insecurity. And I don't mean that in like a haha, like you're a beta male or whatever type way. I mean that in a feeling that the culture is leaving them behind and they are preemptively despised by basically every institution in this country, from Hollywood to the mainstream news to the Democratic voters, which outnumber them. And that if they're going to be despised, they might as well stop caring about what they want anyway. And I think that's a very destructive, in every way, a very destructive process politically. At the end of the day, I mean, we're all
Did trade deals play a significant role in the election? They played a significant role to the extent where manufacturing did leave areas vulnerable to fake populist right-wing demagogues like Trump. So the overall conditions from these areas did get worse, and people from these areas were mad and were very inspired to go vote for somebody like Trump, mainly because of the culture war stuff. It still comes back to that. Stuff like the trade deals, like economic conditions, can help set the playing field in which people like Trump thrive. But it's not the reason people voted. People didn't vote for Trump because of like trade deals. Although they might say many Trump voters may justify voting for Trump with economic reasons. Like, it's a pretty classic thing to do. Like, oh, I'm supporting Trump because I think he's good for the economy. But then if you really test where these people where these people's ideologies lie, it's more on immigration and stuff like that. But the economy and supporting the working class, those have always been cover-ups for why people really vote for somebody like Trump. Even with like Ronald Reagan and the culture war stuff he did. And you had a stronger case for the economy at that time because Reagan's tax cuts actually did spur economic growth at first before we had a revenue crisis. But like, even you had more of an argument for supporting Reagan off the economy than you did Trump. But people still voted for Reagan because he was really good at being a demagogue. He was really good at talking about, he was really good at making his own narrative, Reagan was. Making the government the enemy. To get voters out to vote, you have to get them mad about something. You have to get them sad about something. You have to get them really, really excited about something. Negative emotions play into voting more than positive emotions. This is all stuff you can get in voter psychology. So it's a really interesting mix of how you actually get people to vote. You don't get them to vote based on just like pure policy stuff. If you do get them to vote on policy, you're getting them to vote for the idea of a policy. So like Medicare for all, should everybody have healthcare? Should healthcare be a human right? People vote for should healthcare be a human right more than they vote for Medicare for all. They vote for ideas. So Trump gave the idea of fighting against BLM, of fighting against, he is the culture warrior. Trump gave the idea of fighting against these evil immigrants. So if you hate immigrants, you love Trump. He gave the idea of fighting against these Hollywood pedophiles. He gave the idea of fighting against people like Barack Obama and these corrupt trade deals that ruined all these small towns. But in reality, Trump didn't do any of that, right? If you vote for Bernie, you vote for the idea of everybody having healthcare. You vote for the idea of a more humane system. You vote for those ideas. People don't vote on direct policies or anything like that.
Biological agents. There's nothing inherently leftist about me. If I was born to a different set of parents, I probably could have been a conservative or a moderate Democrat or a neo-Nazi or a Ku Klux Klaner. We're all very well molded by our environments. And to condemn people morally for the misfortune of having been born into circumstances which maybe led them down an ideological path I disagree with it doesn't do anything. The condemnation is meaningless.
I also think there's a very selective form of forgiveness that can exist on the left. Like, I'm opposed to the death penalty. I'm opposed to the mass incarceration state that we have. I think people who, have served their time should be able to re-enter society and have full and productive lives. I think they should be able to vote. I think they should be able to, and that's like, I think everybody on the left would basically agree with that. But then there are other areas where if you, say or do the wrong thing or hold the wrong view, we're done with you, right? There's no coming back.
What voter data do you have that says Trump voters voted because they thought Trump was going to do universal health care?
Not allowed back in the circle. And that's something I really disagree with. And I'll be honest with you, Vaush, like, especially back during the protest movement over the summer, it was tense at times between Sagar and I. And that was probably the most difficult period of the show because both of us had very strongly held views that did not line up whatsoever. And so I did some soul searching at that point of like, what am I doing? Is this sustainable? Is this good? And I guess what I really came back to is Sagar is...
And Hillary being a fake elite politician definitely played into it. People don't like elites. Generally, they don't like elites in our country.
You don't know him personally, so you don't have insight to seeing this, but
that's not a policy issue.
Good faith an actor and as honest an actor and as good of a partner as he can possibly be. So I was like, if I can't even talk to Sagar, like, we're fucked as a country. Like, here he is. He agrees with me on like 70% of things.
No, he doesn't. He agrees with you on what, corporations are bad. What solutions do Krystal and Sagar agree on?
Is
they actually said something in their show like a week ago. An audience member said to Sagar and Krystal, if you guys had to pick 10 total people to govern America, who would you pick? So Krystal had to choose 5, and Sagar had to choose 5 people to govern America. The 5 that Krystal chose were the same as what Sagar did. So they both said we should get Republicans and Democrats, or we should get right-wingers and left-wingers from America picked by a lottery, by like a raffle. And we should pick like 10 random regular people to lead our entire country. And it does, and that really shows what their ideology is. Like, they have this idealistic vision of like workers taking control of everything, running the country. But like, if you understand the ins and outs of government, that wouldn't ever like work. But that really shows what their ideology is. They see their show as some type of like, we're gonna come together, guys. We're all gonna hold hands and beat the elites and whatever. But
here he agrees with me on like 70% of things, and is just like, trusts me and believes in my good intentions and really wants to hear me out and see my point. Like, if I can't handle that debate with this person, then how can we expect anyone in the country to be able to like have a reasonable partnership or debate with anyone who...
Can I jump in?
Can I interject for a sec? Sorry, real quick. I want to hop in real quick.
Yeah.
The reason why you felt that at that particular time is because the view that he was espousing, you thought was not within the bounds of respectable discourse. And I actually agree with you on that, because his whole argument was like, yeah, bring in the army to like crack down domestically on protesters. That's deeply against the First Amendment. That's deeply authoritarian. You view that as outside of the bounds of reason. And some other times when he disagrees with you, you might not think it's outside the bounds of reason. Like on the issue of guns, or maybe on the issue of abortion, or whatever it might be. You might think, I don't agree with you, but I see it. But this was one where you're like, no, not only do I not agree with you, I don't even see your point, and I think you're like actively hostile. So I think that's why it was very difficult. But that gets to the more important point is, and this happens with discourse all the time, where are your actual red lines where you're like, hey, if you believe this, I can't even be friends with you. If somebody's pro-genocide, you're not going to be like, well, we just disagree. You know what I mean? So like, there are red lines, but then there's other things that you might disagree with. They're not red lines. So I think that's why it was hard for you at that point.
And just to add to that, and then I want to hear what you have to say, Vaush, is like, that's exactly why. But then it also is the case that there's a large portion of Americans who agree with his views.
That's why you stayed, I think.
What was like so uncomfortable about the whole situation.
We saw like 70%. There was a poll that was like 70% or something agree with deploying the military in U.S. streets. And so you were like, I guess if it's 70% of the country, I have to argue against this position, basically, was your point. Anyway, I'm sorry, Vaush. We just
I run into that all the time. I am frequently disappointed with the popularity of some of the positions that people... Sometimes I argue against a position online, and I think, nobody actually believes this. I'm wasting my time. This is some
Tell the scandal. Talk about the scandal that just happened.
No. Wait, hold on. Maybe in a second. Okay, hold on. We just poured water on that fire. So a couple things. First of all, again, I don't like arguing against people who aren't here. So I'll just say I cordially invite Sagar to an arm wrestle anytime. We happen.
Here is the main reason Trump voters supported Trump. Nearly 2/3 of white working class voters believe American culture and way of life has deteriorated since the 1950s. Nearly half of white working class Americans say things have changed so much I often feel like a stranger in my own country. Nearly 10 in 7 white working class voters believe the American way of life needs to be protected from foreign influence. 7 out of 10 working class Americans believe the U.S. is in danger of losing its culture and identity. 6 in 10 white working class Americans believe the growing number of newcomers from other countries threatens American culture, not jobs, culture. 6 in 10 white working class Americans thinks immigrants are threatening American culture. Nearly 6 in 10 white working class or Americans believe 6 in 10. Oh, this is just on immigration. That's not crazy numbers. Where's the actual really crazy? One of these questions was like, hey, do you think white people are discriminated against more than black people? And half of white working class voters believe that. But yeah, this is the reason people actually elected Trump. It's a representative democracy. And when this minority gets representation, so 70% of white working class voters, 60 to 70% of white working class voters believe their country is being culturally displaced by immigrants. That's how you get people who believe in the white replacement theory. That's how you get these politicians and people in positions of power. Trump is the white nationalist president because a lot of Americans are expressing these views. A lot of white working class Americans, that are in desperate economic conditions and also in very homogeneous societies that are like 99% white. So that's a mixing pot for right-wing populist disaster. So like,
that's we can keep it to that. It's good. I've been working out lately. I think I can do it. I'm feeling strong.
He's been hitting the Peloton hard during quarantine. I don't know, Vaush.
All right. Hey, you know what? I invite the challenge. One of the issues I have, because this is kind of the problem I have with right populism, it feels like every discussion I have with the right populist is like we agree for 40 minutes. Yeah, the establishment is bad. Workers in this country are being oppressed. Yeah, the media is like an oligarchy that's being used to distract people from meaningful issues. And then they get caught on some culture war talking point and instantly swap into fascism, like in a nanosecond. Like I can spend all this time agreeing with them at a point, and then it'll be like, oh yeah, but Black Lives Matter is burning cities down, so we have to revoke citizenship and deport people and use like Secret Service black bags to take protesters away and interrogate them to find out which anarchist cells are ruling there. These are, so again, we're not talking soccer. I've had convos with people like this.
Yeah.
But it's the thing I've noticed too. Same with trans issues too. People will agree on like everything. Like, yeah, I think workers need more rights. I think the Republican Party has gone crazy. I think et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But trans women using the same bathroom as my daughter, I don't know. So I'm going to abandon every other position I've just spent the past 40 minutes agreeing with you on and vote Republican because I'm that in favor of whatever meaningless virtue signal anti-civil rights bills they're going to pass that'll last 3 years before they get overturned and the whole country moves on from this. And that's a pattern that I've noticed. And I don't know how much being anti-establishment means if you're willing to drop all of it over a culture war issue.
Yeah, and Vaush really hit on the meat of it at the end there. I hope he got more into the conversation in the full podcast with Kyle and Krystal. So the full audio version drops tomorrow. Maybe we can watch that free version tomorrow, or listen to it, I mean. Thank you so much for $5, Ron. Again, Sagar wrote for Tucker Carlson's white supremacist website, The Daily Caller. Friendly, yeah, I mean, you can call him a friendly fascist. That is a decent name for him. Can't wait till the country is all the way browned up, baby. I'm counting down the years. Thank you so much for the $10. $10 Warren Entertainment. That's not the full context of why Trump won. Okay. So I'm talking about why people generally voted for Trump and why the Republican Party is being held hostage to Donald Trump. I'm not talking about why Hillary lost the election. I think she ultimately lost, one, because of our electoral system, of course. She won by 2.5 million votes. But she did lose because she's a terrible candidate. She couldn't connect to voters. She seemed very plastic and fake. She is a continuation of the normal class, the elite class. That is true. Even Democratic voters weren't excited about Hillary. Her husband was already president, so she felt like the second, she felt like a part of the royal bloodline, just trying to take her throne. There's a lot of reasons she lost. She showed in the past 15 whatever years that she didn't really care. She has shown that she doesn't really care about like regular working class Americans, whatever I don't want to say regular, that's a dog whistle a little bit. But even, the multiracial working class, she has shown through her like political position, she doesn't care that much about helping people too. Like there's so many things Hillary could have done to win that election, but I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about, in general, I'm talking about the populism issue we have right now with far right populists. Why are illiberal, fascist, neo-Nazis, white nationalists, why are they able to take an entire political party in a two-party system hostage? How are they able to do that? It's not through policy solutions. It's never through policy. It's through theatrics. It's through emotion. It's through cultural stuff. It's through social stuff. It's through religious organizations, all that stuff. That's what I'm talking about. Of course, if Hillary was a better candidate, she would have beat Trump. She lost by like 20,000 votes in like 3 states. Yeah, of course. But we are dealing with a much larger problem now. The problem's out of the bottle or out of the box now, whatever the phrase is. We're not putting it back in anytime soon. Like in 2022, 2024, we have a big problem we have yet to deal with. It's going to be very interesting to see if we can actually weather this storm, this attack on American democracy. Where did you post a debunk to the data, the voter data? Did you put it in Discord? I read Discord. Put it in the general Discord chat, and I'll see it if you have a debunk. And we can talk about it. Let's see. I want to do a quick video on this. I guess we can watch the Demonmama Vaush debate. Psychosis is real on this channel. Where is the study at? You can't post it in YouTube chat. You have to post it in Discord. You have to put it in Discord. Her performance wasn't great. We'll check it out. What do you all think about this, though? So, Senate Republicans block January 6th commission. This commission was, of course, to investigate what happened at our Capitol during the attempted insurrection on January 6th. Mitch McConnell personally called around to multiple Republican senators to get them to vote against this. I think the vote failed like 54 to like 35, which is considered a blowout due to the filibuster. Yeah, 54 to 35. Isn't that so depressing that that vote in a democracy is considered a lost cause? Like it's a completely lost event now because like 2 people from the Republican side didn't want to vote for it. 10 people sat out the vote. This is a big deal, I think, because it really shows the Republican Party doesn't want to shake up what they have going right now. They don't want to shake up the Trump base whatsoever. They don't want to lose any of that support. Trump has complete control in the Republican Party. It is the party of Trump. That isn't changing anytime soon. People are very loyal to Trump, and since people are very loyal to Trump, Republicans are playing self-preservation. They need to support whatever Trump does. They need to believe in the big election lie. They need to say the election was fake and all that stuff. Or they can lose that Trump base, and they might lose their primaries against other Trump-backed Republicans. You know, we saw people like Susan Collins get attacked. Mitt Romney gets attacked all the time. Liz Cheney just got beat up by all the Republicans. Oh, they're all listed here, like Murkowski. And these people should be like the most far right in our country in a functioning democracy. But now we have an illiberal faction taking control of the entire Republican Party. And like I said before, this is a party of white nationalism, literally. And it's interesting. We have literal neo-Nazis in Congress. It's a fun time. It's so fun. 2022, like our entire democracy is on the line in 2022. It's a good time. I'm excited. I'm excited. Every election from now on isn't just a policy thing. It's not anything else other than, you know, fighting for the survival of our democracy. Every election, isn't that so fun? Every time election season, like the entire country might collapse. It's so cool. I'm so excited. If Republicans get control in our government, guess what they're going to do? Whenever Democrats win, just don't certify the election. You can't lose an election if you don't count the votes. Like, come on. Republicans are going to... I can't wait. Don't get worried, though. Democrats are very good at politics, and Democrats are going to win the Senate. Which, by the way, the Senate, they're at a big uphill fight. The 50 Republicans in the Senate right now represent 40 million less people than the Democrats do because the Senate, the Senate is all about land, not people. All right. Where is the Demonmama debate? Oh, boy. Does anybody have the full debate? Did like
right
a clip
now,
channel post
in
this?
our
All right, Broham's annoying. I'm gonna add him as a moderator. Good job, man. You did it. Oh wait, never mind. He's gonna ban people. Remove moderator. If anybody has the Vaush Demonmama debate, please post it in Discord. Watch it sped up. I'll put it on 1.25. I'm gonna play some Rocket as well. Oh, the VOD is still up on Vaush's YouTube channel? Okay. We shall get the VOD. Was it last night? I forget. I think it was last night, right? I'm not going to give any hard-hitting commentary on it, probably. It won't ever be posted as its own video. Okay, let's go to Vaush's channel then and get up the, Did he beat? Oh, he's playing Super Mario 64. Playlists, right? Yeah, stream VODs. Oh, wait, no, this was last night. That was against... Wait a second. When did he debate Demonmama? Discord... Oh, this one. Discourse complete.
I think accusation thing. Tolerate any bullshit from my community under any circumstance. I was seeing some pretty dumb stuff from a lot of the people that I was banning too.
All right.
You can be ace and into kink. Yeah, you can be ace and fuck too. I don't think that doesn't mean kink is sexual. Oh no, we don't need to add to the ban list, do we? See, sexual activity to children.
I don't know. Okay, so I watched your video this morning. I've been like seeing the discourse unfolding all over the internet. First of all, like, I think it's one thing to have a discussion about like kink at Pride, and I think it's another thing to what I would say is engage in. I would say fairly can be considered a basically a moral panic about something that doesn't really exist. And
then who was I arguing with? No,
I don't know who you were arguing with.
No,
like, to be honest, like you brought up.
This is what I mean, though. Wait, hold on, wait. This is exactly what I mean, okay? This isn't a counter-argument. If your argument is, I didn't see the literal thousands of people making the points that you were arguing against, then I don't know what to say in response to that.
No, wait, like, you can make an argument. Wait, hold on a second. Like, yes, if you construct a straw man to argue about, and you use rhetoric based on a straw man, based on the absolute worst version of something that you engage in online. Well, I mean, are you, like, what are you talking about?
What straw man did I construct?
With regard to the straw man? Wait, straw mans that are constructed is things like saying like, oh, if you disagree with me on this, and by the way, you've done this, like, I've watched like multiple of your takes on this. You've been incredibly loose with who you consider being a pedo and being defensive of all kinds of things without actually specifying what it is that you're arguing about. If you're trying to say that there's like a fuckload.
Wind, you might have one friend that did something. That doesn't mean that's why everybody did something.
Wait, stop. Wait, hold on. First of all, that's not a straw man. Okay, that's an ad hoc.
A straw man is when you construct a fictionalized version of a position that doesn't actually exist. When you throw up somebody saying, "Oh yeah, like there's all these people out there advocating for like you just did it like literally a couple seconds ago, saying that like, oh yeah, like just because these coomers want to be able to like grab and grope somebody at Pride."
I did not. Wait, hold on. I did not at any point. Hold on. At no point have I said there is a group of people saying they want to grab people at Pride. Don't strawman me.
You just used an argument. Like I'm talking like 5 minutes ago, and I don't think that I can give you the exact
quote. That was an example that I gave to indicate. Wait, hold on. That was an example that I gave. Wait, Demonmama. That was an example that I gave to indicate the absurdity of using the "I don't care about making people uncomfortable" argument in all instances. At no point did I suggest that that was an argument held by a group of people that I was arguing against. It's funny that you would accuse me of strawmanning. I never made that claim. I was only giving a hyperbolic.
If you need context, look up Vaush's video about something called kink at Pride. If you want context.
Example to isolate a variable, which is that I think that sometimes people being uncomfortable is a legitimate excuse to not engage in certain behavior.
Yeah, but what we're talking about is that your takes have been like all over the place with regard to who you're talking to and who you're arguing against. And in the process of doing that, you've been saying a lot of people are pedos. And here's the thing,
Who have I said are pedos?
You've been very broad with accusing people of being pedophiles.
There were a couple
do
of times.
Do you want me to put together? Would you rather me just put together a video where I put your clips in? Because I mean, I can do that.
There were a couple of times that I broadly said everyone who disagrees with me is a pedophile. If you go into the VGG chat and stalk my log, you can find me saying I've confirmed everyone except for myself is a pedophile on the left. Now, I think those are. I think you can reasonably interpret those as me making hyperbolic statements to express frustration.
But you can't say that. Like, you can't say that when you put a video.
No, I think Vaush did say the pedophile thing way too much when talking about that Kink at Pride topic. He did say pedophile over and over and over and over again. And of course, we know that like pedophile is the #1 thing used to fearmonger about like LGBT people. First, it was like gay people are going to be pedophiles. They used it for black people too, like being pedophiles. Any culture war issue, the right uses that for. But like trans people, we can't let them in the bathrooms. They're pedophiles. You know, Vaush did hang on that pedophile thing way too much when talking about this, in my opinion.
Out in which you say that, you know, the only people who really, I think, disagree with this completely incontroversial take, a video in which you are like genuinely saying that there's no way that a reasonable person can disagree with you, and the only people who would do this are people who, you know, I think they want to fucking diddle kids, which you've done again over the last couple days.
So the take that you're referring to there is I have said, and this is the point that I've been specific on, that there should be a section of Pride which is quote unquote family friendly, and that kids should be able to go to without there being overt sex stuff there, and that people who are fastidiously arguing that every element of Pride has to have the kink and the sex.
I'm sorry, but that is not true.
Wait, hold on.
That is not true. That is not the clarity with which you've stated this at all. I'm sorry, but
wait, can I finish the point?
Sure.
And that anyone who continues to fastidiously argue in favor of having kink and sex at that event too, that having everything, that too.
Never said that. You've never laid it out like that. This is a Mott and Bailey.
Wait, hold on. This is not a Mott and Bailey, okay?
Yes, it absolutely is.
Wait,
debate term.
Please. So those groups of people, I admit to being curious about with their intentions, or at the very least, their arguments sound to me very similar to arguments I've seen from actual child abusers, and it's something that I'm very suspicious of. Now, if you want to argue that I have been hyperbolic in my insults, then I will absolutely own up to that, as I just did when I began saying this. And I'm never going to take the position that I optically optimized the entirety of this conversation.
You broke up there.
But I think that this...
I think I lost you.
Hello?
Sorry, you were breaking up there for a second.
I'm not making the argument that I optically optimized any portion of this broader discussion. However, if your two arguments are, I was overly hyperbolic, and also I was non-specific in the criticisms that I was levying.
No.
I don't know if those are enough to justify
I'm so bad.
the claims you've made, that I'm making 6 Mott and Baileys, that my arguments are completely illegitimate.
No, I really wait, I never said anything about your arguments being completely illegitimate. Don't put words in my mouth. Here's the situation. So what I'm frustrated about is that it's not just a matter of slight hyperbolicness. And I said this on my stream that I did yesterday.
So wait, you think my arguments are valid then? Is this whole thing just going to be about me poisoning the well out of frustration?
Wait, hold on a second. No. Like, one, I don't think, okay, I think that some of your arguments, some of the arguments that you've made are defensible. Other ones I don't think are so strong. However, I think that the rhetoric here is absolutely reprehensible. And yes, this is a rhetorical critique, and it is a massive, perhaps you could say this is an optical critique, but I think that this is a very severe rhetorical misstep. I think you've been rhetorically misstepping since the beginning of this thing.
Okay,
and
so
I actually do.
So apart from me
wanna
exasperatedly saying people who disagree with me are pedos thing.
Repeatedly. You've done this repeatedly.
Yeah, and
do you forget what topic we're talking about? Wait, Vaush, come on.
Is that the only thing?
No, come on. You got to let me say my piece here.
But I'm asking,
we've been talking
for 10 minutes. I just want to know if you have a problem with the arguments that I've made.
I mean, it depends. You've made a lot of arguments over the last couple of days. If we want to talk about specific one, I already have a document that I could do an actual point by point. I'm not like, I'm here in your chat to talk about the thing that's most important to me, which is, not just poisoning the well, like poisoning the discourse. Like, I mean, like to a degree of like an unbelievable level of toxicity.
I strongly disagree.
No, I don't. I think that's almost laughably ridiculous for you to claim that.
Okay,
you
so
opened the door on this.
Can we, okay, then quit. Because
it's not
I just want to be forthcoming. I don't really care that much about the well poisoning.
Wait, Vaush, it's not just. This is something that I've talked about a million times on my channel.
It wasn't my teammate this time.
I know that you have heard my takes on this before, that people being irresponsibly starting literally moral panics by accusing queer people, and this is interqueer discourse, of being pedophiles is very fucked. That is a very bad thing.
Are you under the impression that it's always irresponsible to say that members from a queer community are using arguments that come off kind of pedophilic?
Losing in Rocket League isn't rhetorically effective.
Don't what made Demonmama? I'm asking you a very direct
What are you talking about?
Okay, so do you think it is ever acceptable to say that language used by members of the queer community is pedophilic.
No, of course not. Of course
Okay.
you can. If there's language being used, but that is not the case. You're acting like you had this surgical approach,
So
and you did
don't-
not.
No, wait.
I just watched your video.
What do you mean? I'm acting like I had a surgical approach. 2 minutes ago, I said, yeah, I called everyone on the left except for myself a pedo. I obviously was super frustrated and tossed it
Yeah,
around
but
a
you're
bunch. I've already
downplaying this.
acknowledged that.
You're downplaying your
I
own
opened
hyperbole.
by admitting it.
No, maybe today, but that's like barely even the beginning of this. Like, and you've hardly done it. And as we're talking here, you're downplaying people and insulting people who have a problem with the rhetoric that you're now trying to be like, oh, it was just hyperbolic. But that's
No,
not just hyperbole. This is way above and beyond hyperbole.
It is certainly hyperbole, and it's hardly the first and last time that I've made hyperbolic statements about the rest of the online left. But
I've watched you forever, I know.
I need you to move beyond like well-poisoning discourse. The interesting thing to me is that since that pedo accusation thing never made its way onto Twitter from my account, it wasn't even part of like the harassment that I got. As far as I was concerned, it was me being excessively frustrated from some absurd arguments that I saw in my chat and venting like during. But to me,
you
this
banned.
is not,
Listen, you banned a lot of people. You banned a lot of people making reasonable arguments. You totally did. I'm sorry. Like I know people that you banned.
I'm gonna need actual arguments.
Rocket hockey.
Okay, so like, what do you want to argue about then?
All you've done is say,
no, don't even give me that.
You just
yeah,
asked
you
a
did.
question.
You poisoned it really bad. You started this discourse. You started discourse. You started discourse on this by levying accusations of pedophilia before Pride begins.
I didn't start the discourse. That was after like 30 minutes of seeing some insanely sus shit from my chat.
Okay, so what's the sus shit? You're being vague again. You say all this vague stuff, and then yet you're willing to say that people who disagree with you, you're willing to engage in in quote unquote hyperbole, which I would argue is irresponsibly high.
The content of that stream is public information. The receipts are right there. I don't remember every message that I respond to during the end of a live stream. There were a lot of people who seemed to be downplaying the severity of overt sex acts in front of children, people who were defending it in ways that made me uncomfortable as a person who has seen sexual abuse in person before. I think that my frustration, while hyperbolic, is not so significant, and the subsequent well poisoning, that it completely invalidates my arguments. Additionally, I'm still asking you to get to the actual arguments that you have, rather than just criticizing me for frustratingly well poisoning.
Wait, that's not that. If you want to know what the criticism is, look, my criticism is that the way that you have engaged in this discourse, that the rhetoric that you have chosen to use repeatedly over and over again, including
get lucky.
going so far as posting on Twitter, I'm just going to throw some more gasoline on this grease fire, has been one of building up to a.
So is this just an optics discussion?
That's not. It's not just an optics discussion.
I keep asking you if you have more than that, and then you keep saying I do have more than that, but then you move back.
No, I literally, Vaush, I just told you that this is the main thing. I have other arguments. I mean, I can talk about how I think that I got a quote right here from your video. I could go in about this point by point, but I don't think that's what we're here to do. Do you want me to do that? Do you want me to like take down the points that I had problems with?
I obviously
or do you want me to give you the argument that I care about, that I brought up on my stream and actually critiqued?
If your argument is that it was irresponsible of me to elevate this discourse, then I would say that my initial statement on stream was very non-controversial, and the behavior from my chat or from some prominent chatters in my community actually made my skin crawl with how disgusting it was. And the subsequent bans that followed were to me no different than the many other times on stream that I've given a take I considered reasonable, and people reacted to it.
Vaush bans everybody that disagrees with him.
Did I choose to make a video afterwards? Did I choose to get involved in discourse?
Everybody, I tell you.
I certainly did. But I didn't expect to have to do any of that. I was genuinely shocked by the responses from my chat, and continue to be from some of the people that I'm too busy to ban right now. So, like, if the argument is I well poisoned out of frustration, then okay, maybe I'm sensitive to people using what looks to me like groomer logic in a community that I thought would be purged of that bullshit.
Oh my.
Okay. But if you have
I think that is like a ridiculous level of hyperbole, which is that you have engaged in this since the beginning of this discourse, that has made it impossible to possibly have a reasonable discussion about it. And that's, you started that. You were the one who started throwing around pedo accusations. That is a level of like
really have nothing beyond the poison.
Wait, it's not having. Oh my God.
Please,
are you
just
like
give an argument?
Wait, didn't you? Hold on a second. Wait a second. Didn't you just make a stream the other day about how one of your main problems with Destiny is that he makes ridiculous, hyperbolic, bad optics takes and then backs out of them later, which is what you're doing right now.
No, this
you
is
were
not
throwing around
comparable.
accusations of
No, because I feel like
then,
the
all right, then
argument
I can't. Then you're not willing to listen to it.
Then I feel like the argument that I've made has been fairly consistent. If my argument for Destiny was
I strongly disagree.
My
the
teammate
argument that
sucks.
I've made against Destiny
That's the
was
issue.
not, he makes very hyperbolic condemnations of people out of frustration, because that's something that I do as well, and it would be exceedingly hypocritical of me to accuse him of doing that.
Do you or do you not think that there's a problem with utilizing rhetoric that is literally part and parcel
just
with
make the argument? Stop the questions. Just say, I think the language you used overlapped with right-wing critiques of queer pride.
Yeah, I think it really overlapped with it. Not
Okay.
just, wait a second, you don't even just don't fucking you're counter posturing right now. You don't fucking play
I
that
just
shit
want
with
you to make the arguments instead of with the optics and the optics and the optics. Then you ask the rhetorical question. Okay, so the counter argument to this.
Sorry. Oh, I'm sorry for having a conversation with you, Vaush. Oh, I'm sorry. You're the only one allowed to use rhetorical tactics. Okay.
It's not a
It's not a rhetorical tactic. I'm just trying to get to the meat of the disagreement. Now, if your
the
argument,
meat of the disagreement is that I think that your rhetoric here has been just god awful, and I'm gonna stick by that. I don't think that it's okay to enter a conversation about kink at Pride, starting throwing around accusations that anyone who disagrees with you is a pedo. And by the way,
depends on the reason why they disagree with me. And the by the way,
yeah,
I disagree with your term.
As the person with the platform, the onus is on you to be clear with your critiques. And here's the funny thing. Wait a second. In your second video, we got all the way, and I timestamped this because this is one that was really here. We got all the way down to, let's see, it's 11:48, which is what, like 20, somewhere in the ballpark of like 20 minutes in or so. 20 minutes into the video, 21 minutes into the video, when you finally go, okay, actually, I'm not talking about leather daddies. You were never clear about who you were actually talking about in this and who you were denouncing. Your lack of clarity on this has led to.
No,
that's not the only.
Wait, example? Stop. So first of all, okay, I disagree with your use of the term accusations. Me saying, "Oh my God, you're all pedophiles," exasperatedly. I don't really think that amounts to like.
That is not an accurate characterization.
No, wait, hold on. I didn't say. Okay. Wait, and me like typing in chat, everyone's a pedophile but me. I don't think these really constitute accusations. The only time I was even remotely specific with that condemnation is when I paired it with an exact description of the types of defenses for sexual behavior around children that were suspicious to me. So I don't like the use of the term accusations. When it comes to how specific I was with what I didn't like, okay, at no point was I running around saying stuff like, if you wear leather at Pride, that's kink and you're a pedophile. I don't like the way I'm being characterized right now. When I
think you came pretty close a couple times on that.
No. When I was referring to the behavior I thought was not kid-friendly, I specifically referred to like leather jock straps and people wearing full-body gimp suits. The term full-body gimp suits may have in fact been the only term I used.
I think you literally said in the original take, and I might be misremembering this, and I can get you a clip afterwards. I can do a whole thing if you want to. But if I remember correctly, one of the things you said was someone's bulge. They were wearing a cod piece with a straining bulge, and I'm like, okay, so that sounds like you're talking. That sounds like, pretty specifically
like when you have an erection in those leather sacks that you wear at Pride. I've seen them before at Pride. I don't think like a kid's face should be right in front of that. But it's fine if they're not.
Now it's like, a kid's face should be right. Oh, come on. Do you see how unclear and vague you've been? This is part of the problem.
No, this is concern trolling is what it is.
This is not concern trolling. Every time you were doing the concern trolling, Vaush. Wait, you're talking about this entire thing has been predicated on issue that functionally doesn't exist. That you've admitted online. Oh, actually, every Pride event is actually pretty much the same. They're all fine. Actually,
they already said otherwise. Wait, I didn't say all.
Yes, you
most
have.
Pride
You
events
absolutely did at the beginning.
No, I didn't. No, Pride events are organized well. Wait, why do you think the reason I got mad was at people in my chat rather than existing Pride events? It was because people in chat gave insane defenses to the extreme minority of cases where I do think that stuff like this is done irresponsibly. The picture used was from Folsom. It wasn't even from a Pride event. I've never levied criticisms at Pride events. Except for the only one that I did though.
I don't agree with you on that, but
you're wrong. I was only criticizing the behavior of people online.
You tell me right now, if I go back and watch your videos, I'm not going to find a single argument that could be construed as against Pride.
Depends on what you mean by
think that you're wrong about that. Didn't you literally? Wait a second. Hold on a minute. Didn't you literally title your video "Kink at Pride"?
Yeah, that is the title.
Dude, come on. This is so disingenuous.
No, that's called.
Wait, no, I'm sorry. No, Vaush, I can't accept this. You know that you've been engaging in the Kink at Pride discourse. If you aren't clear about what you're talking about.
Yeah, I feel like Vaush came in with a wrecking ball. And he seems, in this conversation a little bit later, I saw the end of it, he seems a little bit like he sees himself as very self-important. He was talking like, I'm the only person willing to talk about this thing in this way. Like, I don't know. I think it'll come up then. Sorry I let that goal go in, Trees.
If you aren't clear when you are saying,
that's a thumbnail and a title.
No,
that's
I'm not talking just about that. It's the entire discourse. You've been doing this the entire time. And this is one of the things I've been frustrated with, is that in all your videos, you're not clear about what you're actually talking about. And then if people argue back at you, you treat them like they're being a pedophile. You will, in fact, you say, no, this isn't, nope. I'm sorry.
No, you're
wrong.
Go
watch the videos.
The idea that every time somebody disagrees with me, I no, wait, Demonmama.
You can say you're wrong, but your videos speak for themselves. Your videos speak for themselves.
Okay, hold on, because we're being watched right now by people who have watched my videos. Chat. Was my video, multiple videos, were they about existing Pride or were they about behavior of lefties online?
Or were they maybe not clear in what they were about,
I feel like if your argument is that I could
wait, hold on, let me ask this. Let's ask a little fair question, because I know the little chat poll. Real quick question. Anybody in chat, let's be honest here. Let's try to be good faith. Anybody in chat, were any of you unclear about what Vaush was talking about in any of his Kink on Pride videos? Do you think that he was talking about Pride?
What?
Do you think he was talking about Folsom? Or are you unclear about what he was talking about?
No, I feel like I was fairly specific in criticizing the behavior of online leftists.
Okay, sure. I disagree.
This is,
I strongly
this is the
disagree.
problem that I have. People read into the shit that I say.
It's
so
not about
much
reading.
negative intent.
Vaush, it's not about reading into it.
Wait, you are reading into it. You are by definition reading into it.
This is not reading into it. This is when you make okay, Vaush. I'm
by
sorry.
definition,
you can't get out of by saying, oh, people are reading into it. When your response is people who disagree with me are pedos, I'm going to ban them from my chat. I'm going to do these things. I'm going to keep saying this over and over again. Anybody who disagrees, anybody who disagrees, I could bring you up literal quotes, but obviously I called in on stream and I can't put on the screen. I can't do a stream segment while you're doing a stream segment.
Okay, so the problem right now is that you're being incredibly non-specific.
I'm not being
non-specific. Wait, Demonmama, please. First of all, you are absolutely reading into stuff that I said because I feel like it was very obvious which groups I was targeting in my criticism. Second of all, your repeated deferences to, and then everyone who disagrees with anything they say that you're a pedophile. This is not the case. Apart from a couple of...
You said that.
Please let me finish. Apart from a couple of very obviously hyperbolic and overly broad, frustrated accusations that I saw after, mind you, seeing some really shitty stuff in my chat, some stuff that really looked like pedo apologia to me in my chat. Yeah. I got frustrated. Is that optically good? Is that rhetorically effective?
Let me know in chat, who is everybody watching nowadays? Because I'm hearing people are getting pretty frustrated with like Vaush and like Big D. Destiny and all, like, who's everybody watching?
No, it isn't. I already acknowledged that. But the idea that the entire discourse that I've been engaging in has been defined by me making unspecific statements and accusing everyone who has any problem with that of being a pedophile is not true. That is just not true.
I disagree with you. I think I do. And listen, I'm not saying that you've been like literally accusing Big Joel and everybody else of being a pedophile, but I think that the videos that you put out, and I'm glad that you're willing to admit here right now that yeah, you were really careless with that. But I think that it goes beyond that because first of all, those things, those careless moments ended up in your videos that you published as well about this particular issue. And I don't believe that you're as clear as you were. I took notes this morning on this video before I even came in to even think about this, before I even thought about doing any sort of response to you, because I couldn't figure out what the fuck you were trying to talk about. You have examples all over the place in here from people having their tits out in New York to flashers being similar to Pride Kink.
Wait, hold on. Wait. This is what I mean by you not knowing what you're talking about, because the things that you just listed were me giving descriptions of the ways in which cultural context could validate the legitimacy of public nudity. These were not comparisons to Pride. You can't just hear the key words and then just say, oh, this is a comparison to Pride.
Okay. That's not what I'm doing. What I'm saying is that I can go back and I can watch through your video and I can point out that there's a lack of clarity on what you're saying. And yet at the same time,
was that unclear? I feel like it was pretty obvious. I was just saying that public nudity is very culturally and contextually relevant. Again, like, this is what I mean by reading. This is the bad faith I'm talking about. The reason I get frustrated
now I'm in bad faith. You think I'm in bad faith right now?
I think that you are reading my statements.
What am I reading into your statements?
Inaccurately enough that it's approximating the behavior of people who speak to me in bad faith. This is why I get so frustrated.
Yeah, bad faith, Demonmama. Okay.
Can you not like?
No, you just did it.
No, I said it's approximating the behavior. I can't speak to your intentionality, but don't act like a child when I make this point. It's very frustrating for me. I put a lot of thought into some of the stuff that I say.
I put a lot of thought into this as
I know, please let me... And it's frustrating to me when I try to make a salient example on, like, public nudity, but then you just bring up that example as just part of a list of things that I'm apparently comparing.
Yes, because you are simultaneously asking for me to give you my overall critique and specific examples of things that I don't think served your argument well. Like, I can make you, like, I don't know. This whole thing is like, I think it's that in your videos, and I think, you know what, I'm gonna make a small appeal here. I think that the sheer level of shitstorm that this has created indicates and I know there's a lot of people who don't like, I know there's a lot of people who don't like me, but this is a level of unclarity that has been going on for days. Nearly every single other content creator that you engage with, even people who are friendly with you, have been confused about your take on this because you haven't been clear.
I disagree.
Hold on, I'm not done. No, Vaush, come on.
All right. My apologies. I'll let you speak more. Okay.
Okay, so who's being a child now?
Who's being a child now? Who's being a child now?
Nice. Okay. Yeah, nice. I caught that. It's all right.
Both of you are acting like
people that also respect you have been confused about your position, and at the same time of being very vague about what exactly you're talking about, naming your videos Pride Kink, but sometimes referring to other things, doing all kinds of changes where you'll say something like,
"Hey, I'm gonna enjoy my final couple months streaming. When I go back to school, I'm probably not gonna be able to stream at all. Just a heads up, if anybody actually enjoys watching me." Unless if I somehow blow up before the end of the summer.
Your videos Pride Kink, but sometimes referring to other things, doing all kinds of changes where you'll say something like, I just think that anybody who disagrees with me is got some weird pedo shit going on, and then 5 minutes later you say, well, no, I'm actually only talking about this specific thing, which I consider a Mott and Bailey.
Maybe I'll do like weekly videos at that point when I can't stream anymore. I'll do like specialized content and put together like half-hour videos talking about like really deep stuff.
Especially when you're using, at the same time as all of that, you're going in super hard on saying that people who disagree with you are a pedo. And I don't think you're clear about who you're saying that is. And I'm hardly the only one who thinks this, okay? It's not like I'm inventing this out of nowhere. And I don't even think, and Vaush, I don't think you can just say that this is bad faith, because it's people who love your shit. I know for a fact, I know people from my community, people who are members of my mod team, who got banned from your chat for just disagreeing with you. And I don't think, and I saw their logs.
Then
so I'm
I
just
would
saying,
like to see their logs.
Wait, Vaush, do you think it's possible that maybe you just fired a little over the gun and have been doubling down a whole lot on that fucking rhetoric?
What take do you think I'm doubling down on?
I think you're doubling down on your rhetoric, and you're not just willing to admit that.
Holy
shit, yeah, I probably shouldn't have been.
Wait, hold on, just a second, really quick from chat. Vaush, you blocked Gayfesh for nothing, lol. After I blocked Gayfesh, I saw that fucker on Twitter saying that I haven't sucked enough dick to have an opinion on Pride. Okay, nah, fuck that person. Okay, I don't care if you're a longtime chatter. These malicious opinions pop out the moment people disagree with me. It's the same with the biphobia shit. All these woke motherfuckers run out there and instantly start
Vaush,
woke. Tom McDonald wants to have a word with you.
I understand.
He also hates the wokes.
But at the same time, like you're ignoring your own.
Wait, why are you
ignore your own. No, because the reason why I'm interrupting is because it's one thing to say, oh, this person said an asshole thing on Twitter, but you said asshole things as well. You said in a moment of frustration to your chat, to members of your chat, people who you were arguing with, oh, you're just a pedo. That's a pretty fucking fucked up thing to say to people. Yeah, maybe some people are going to get a little mad and they're going to say you haven't sucked enough dick. That's also shitty. But you called them a pedo.
Are you really defending this?
Yeah, outside of
No,
YouTube,
I'm not defending it. I'm saying that you can't just present one side of that. Yeah, obviously people are going to be fucking shitty.
Presenting
but this is
one
definitely...
side of that would imply that I haven't already acknowledged that I have hyperbolically called people pedophiles, which I have done now.
Acknowledging it, oh yeah, I was slightly hyper
because I've already said no. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, sure. If you don't want to talk about it, if you don't want to talk about how you
move on,
what
do you mean? You don't want to talk about it? I opened with it.
I'm so bad.
No, you didn't.
Quit.
You've been defending your position. You've been defending the language that you've used, your rhetoric this entire time. You've been downplaying it, acting like
no. Wait, we can't keep going back to this. The only thing I've defended with
going back to what?
The only pedo accusation rhetoric that I've doubled down on was the ones that I gave later on, where I was specifically describing
what's the other team's name
that made me really
what are their two names?
At the very least, it feels like it's enabling certain types of defenses that I'm very, very uncomfortable with. Apart from that, the stuff that wasn't that, for like the fourth time, yeah, it was hyperbolic bad faith well poisoning. I've already acknowledged that. I just don't see, I'm not as bothered by this as you, because as far as I'm concerned, this entire discourse has been hyperbolic bad faith well poisoning. The only difference is I was the one who came out with an argument in addition to it, and it felt like nobody else came out with one. Like, I got in the muck, I jumped in the toilet, sure, but I came out with an argument, and I defend that argument now, and that's what I'm interested in talking about.
Okay. I mean, if you don't want to, like, again, if you don't want to talk about,
talked about it. What more is there to talk about?
I mean, I think you're not. I don't think you're taking that seriously. I don't think you're taking seriously the sheer amount of hyperbole, and I think that as a result of that, you're downplaying just how fucking out of line you were with that rhetoric. That was my main critique, and that is my main critique. I think I'm not usually this bad. I swear. Actual conversation about the boundaries of kink at Pride.
I got good highlights.
Oh god, I even was thinking about doing that on stream before I got called a pedo by a fuckload of people on Twitter for even saying I was going to talk about a take that was different than yours. I didn't even know you made a video about it yet. So sorry, but
I do. What do you mean by fuckload of people? I'd like to see some evidence that there was this huge glut of my fans.
I never said it was your fans.
Earlier.
I never even implied it was your fans.
Wait,
let's go.
Who listens to me except for my fans?
I never even said it was your. What are you talking about? Like, I don't know what you're getting at here. I never even said it was you. I didn't say you were responsible for it. I'm saying that. Wait, what? I was just telling you my experience with the discourse.
Easy.
I did that. To be fair, your video kicked it off. Your video kicked it off with everybody reacting to it. And in that video, you said some pretty easily
the implication really made it seem like you were saying it was my fans. But okay, if you're just saying like I just made those accusations, then it was also like a separate group of people, then okay.
Yeah, I think we all know. Like, I don't think there's any contention between us about the fact that if you have a big platform, you can start discourse, and if you poison that discourse to a degree that discourse can be almost unresolvable. And I believe that with you starting this entire discourse, being very careless by blasting entire groups of people who may or may not disagree with you, being unclear who it was you were saying that they're pedophiles, while we're talking about Pride.
We've already said this, yeah. Though I do, for what it's worth, though, I do think you're.
But Vaush, I don't want you to downplay it. Okay.
First of
because
all,
this is something I take seriously.
What you can say is me downplaying it is apparently me acknowledging it and addressing it like
no. I'm sorry. I'm not going to buy that, Vaush. I'm not going to buy that.
Is this really all you have? You just come on to virtue signal.
There you go.
Why don't
we continue talking? Again. You're just no. See, you say, oh, is that literally all you have? Vaush, half of your fucking content is critiquing people's rhetoric. You do videos on Rhetoric 101.
The critique.
Okay, good. So you admit that you completely destroyed the discourse, and that
I think that I poisoned the well.
Blowing accusations at the beginning of pedophilia has had a knock-on effect that may have reached beyond your fan base. Yes or no?
Well, repeat the last statement, please.
Okay. Do you think that your very careless use of pedophilia accusations or insults or whatever you want to call it, I don't care which word you use, poisoned the discourse to a degree that it had repercussions beyond your fan base?
You know what? No. I think that it's the responsibility of the community to have better takes on this, and I saw literally thousands of people. Hold on. And I saw literally thousands of people giving takes that I felt were adjacent to justifying child abuse, and when I pointed that out, everyone was acting as though I was jabbing at ghosts. That was extremely frustrating for me. And I'll say, wait, hold on. And you're doing it too. You're saying they don't exist. I'm sorry. No, maybe the reason this got so hyperbolic is because people like you aren't willing to accept any broader criticisms of the community's behavior.
Yes, exactly. Oh, it's absolutely people like me that made this. When you started this fucking thing with a video where you threw accusations of pedophilia completely vaguely based on things that you didn't even know which topic you were talking about. You make a video.
You're the one who doesn't know. I know the topic I was talking about.
Excuse me. You make a video at Kink at Pride where you repeatedly mention Pride, you repeatedly name drop Pride, and then when I say, you know, that doesn't really line up with your other statements, then you say, well, I wasn't talking about Pride necessarily, but your video was titled Pride. You say the name Pride millions of times in your video, not millions, you say it many, many times in your videos. You say
chat seems
Pride,
clear
Pride,
on my
Pride,
intentions. I mean,
that's
I feel like
that's literally the opposite
my
of clear.
cult audience
that's
agrees
you telling
with me.
people that, oh, I said all these words and I wasn't clear in my arguments.
That means
and
I'm right.
People were
I have to defer to public
responded.
opinion on this because I feel like I was being clear. Are there ways to be clearer? Of course, there's literally always a way to be clearer. But it seems like people who actually follow what I say and listen to the words coming out of my mouth understood what I was saying.
No way he is.
There does seem to be some disagreement, but I don't know how much of that disagreement is willful misinterpretation of what I've said. And judging from some of the arguments that you've made, I can't trust you either because you've also cited things inaccurately. So I don't have an objective.
Nope. Like I don't like this. That's fucking stupid. Like if you don't think that me of all people is going to come to you and fucking
conversation. Like you didn't come to provide anything.
Okay,
you just
Vaush.
wanted a virtue signal.
No, wait. I brought up exactly what I wanted. See, this is what I'm talking about. Like, and you're gonna call me a child in this. But all right, if that's what you think, if you really think that, by the way, you literally ceded on my actual core argument, which is that your rhetoric was ridiculously irresponsible. And it was.
I didn't say
it was very irresponsible.
Wait, you keep acting like this is some win. This is what I said first off. Like
I don't think it's a win. I think this is fucking stupid. I think this has been completely stupid, and I think you started with the stupidity.
But I acknowledge, like, it doesn't even feel like you came to have a conversation. It feels like you just came to rub my nose in
no, not at all. You were defending your positions when I walked into the stream, and I responded to that.
What positions do you have a problem with? We are now how long into this?
I'm sorry.
Still haven't given me a position.
I misspoke in saying position. I should say rhetoric in this case.
Rhetoric, right. So you think my position is fine?
Wait, sorry. Can I get your on the record? Do you think rhetoric is frivolous or stupid, or are you not like literally the rhetorician online?
The rhetorician, dang,
dude.
You
multiple criticisms of my position.
He's the rhetorician.
I'm referring entirely to the rhetorical.
No, we can. If you want to talk about if you want to talk about positions,
can I just ask you a couple questions? They're not like leading questions.
Please go for it.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Do you think it's important that a major section of Pride events held in cities should be made accessible and family friendly so that people who may not be comfortable with overtly kinky or sexual content can still go and learn about the community, experience stuff like that? That kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think that's already the case. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I agree. Yes.
Okay. Sure.
Okay. So we're in agreement on that.
I mean, but I don't think that means that we should get kink out of Pride. I don't think that anything. Yeah, sure. If you want to have certain areas that are family friendly, sure, that's fine.
You can look at my tweets and my video to find me saying I'm fine with.
Oh yeah, anti-trans bills are being passed all over the country. They're trying to demonize trans people and really just freak people out. They're trying to be like, the Tennessee bathroom sign bill that they did. Now businesses have to put on their bathrooms if they are letting trans people go into, basically use their restrooms with their preferred identity or whatever. And on the sign on the door, it says warning. Warning, trans people use this bathroom. And these bills are being passed all over the country because Republicans do what Democrats don't, and they win at the state and the local levels. So in state politics, they're doing stuff state by state to discriminate against trans people. And that's an actual issue that's happening. Not this dumbass bull poop discourse, whatever.
Kink at Pride, I just want a section of it. You watched my video, right?
Yes, I watched your video.
Did you just look at the thumbnail? Did you just look at the thumbnail?
No, I did not just look at the thumbnail. Vaush, you want me to fucking screen share with you? I've got a fucking entire document of things that I did. Who do you think I am? Do you think I'm just some fucking jester? I fucking take this shit seriously. You know I fucking go through this shit. Like, yes, I know that you've said various things all over the place. And that's the problem that I have with this entire thing, is that you've been saying a lot of different things. And when you're pressed on certain issues, you act as though anybody disagreeing with you is totally unreasonable and a pedophile.
I feel like I've made it excessively clear that I'm okay with kink and pride as long as there's an area or a section or a time period where children or whatever can go without, like,
I think that if I'm not mistaken,
I feel like I'm being gaslit. Like, how many times do I have to say this over and over? Like, it's in the video, it's in the tweets. It's in today's stream. It's in the conversation I'm having with you right now.
So you're accusing me of gaslighting now, or
can you just respond?
We're playing
to the
comp right
I
now,
have, rather than posturing and backing up and saying, "Oh, you're daring to." Come on, just. I feel like I'm being gaslit.
You're posturing a lot here right now. Like, okay, how am I gaslighting you? How am I gaslighting you? Just tell me. Come on.
Wait, I just said Is this a joke? I just said I've been very clear that I'm okay with kink at Pride. I think everything has its place. I just explained.
So that's okay. Then that's great. If that's your position, that's fine. That is not the impression that I got from your initial videos. Now, yes, I do acknowledge that there was a tweet in which you said, yeah, I'm fine with
what do jesters do.
I don't think that your rhetoric in the initial videos or the way that you approach your arguments in those initial videos even came close. No, sure. If you want to say that that's where your position is now, that's great. That's fine. I never disagree with you on that. But in the process of getting to that, no, I don't agree with you on that. I don't think your initial videos were that clear.
No.
I think this is a situation where there's been a walk back and you're acting as though people responding to your initial critiques, people saying, hey, this rhetoric was problematic, this argument was not good, are like somehow like fucking insane or gaslighting you because they're saying, hey, you said these things these things are kind of fucked. And I get it if you want to say something different now.
Okay,
that's why I said it felt like a Mott and Bailey.
I will acknowledge that with time, I got a little bit better at describing my position because when I initially made it, I felt like people would be good faith enough to fill in the gaps because the initial position that I took was the problem I have with kink at Pride, and then I like talked broadly about Pride, and then I said I think kink has its places as long as there's some way to cordon it off. Friendly spaces.
Faked them out.
But then as time went on, I realized that people were interpreting what I was saying as that kink and sex should be like this shameful secondary thing, which was never my intention. So with time, I grew more specific in the clarification, but I feel like even the initial thing that I said, with just a little bit of good faith interpretation, comes off as a pretty clear acceptance of kink and its place at Pride, just not in every single place at Pride at all times. But if your argument is that I need to,
your initial video.
If your argument is I wasn't clear enough to begin with, then
yes, I've been saying that, but you responded with incredible hostility even to me when I said that.
Clarity is contextual. So I can make a statement that I feel is abundantly clear, and other people can then say, I feel like you weren't being clear at all. So I think from the get-go, I was pretty clear, and that the language you're using, that it was incredibly irresponsable for you to do this, that it was destructive, that you burnt the bridge. I think stuff like that.
I never said anything about burning a bridge.
Or burnt the well or something.
Sorry, did you burn a bridge in there? Like, is that...
Demonmama. When you used language like that to describe the way I described my argument to begin with, it felt as though you were saying that my unclearness, to the extent it existed, was incredible and irresponsible. I think it was fine to begin with, and it's just gotten more clear with time.
I think I do agree that I think that you have gotten more clear, but I do not agree with the idea that you did not like misstep with your rhetoric. I don't think that your initial video.
I always misstep with rhetoric. Even my best debates and videos.
I'm not saying it's like this is not like some minor critique. Again, blasting people with pedophilia accusations.
No,
when you're talking about when you're like
there are people for whom those accusations I maintain.
I'm sure there are.
I mean, Vaush, wait, I'm sorry. Do you think it's a? I'm just so this is a bit of a rhetoric move for me. Do you think it's a good look for you to deny all of the experiences that I've had and all the people that I've seen over the past 48 hours making arguments that I would argue?
Did I ever deny it? Do you think it's a good look for you to imply that I denied it?
Chat. I'm deferring to you now. Did Demonmama not deny the existence of those people when I said people are accusing me of fighting shadows and Demonmama said, yeah, you kind of are?
No, I did not.
You are lying to my fucking face right now. You're lucky I have a bad memory. What else have I missed?
No, hold on a second. I'm sorry. We could watch a VOD. I literally said, I know those people exist, but you cannot cater your rhetoric on a large issue broadly based on a handful of those people unless you're clear about that.
Do y'all think Vaush likes Demonmama? Not from this conversation, but in totality. I can't tell.
That at all.
I literally just said that. Oh my god, this is so ridiculous. And of course your chat's gonna spam yes.
You did say that? Okay. Wait, but so she did say that. Did she also say the shadow bot or the shadow?
Hold on, look at all those motherfuckers who just spammed yes when then you rewind back and you see that I wasn't fucking lying. You people are insane.
Well, okay, wait, hold on. This is the first time that chat's answered in your favor. Hold on now. Vaush specified it was the horny Twitter lefties. Yeah, but chat, I do remember me saying something like, I feel like people are just accusing me of shadowboxing when I describe these like predatory tendencies. And then Demonmama said something like, you kind of are. Didn't that happen? I guess I'll have to rewatch this. But
maybe I said you kind of are, but I don't feel like that's the same thing as saying, I don't think that that's reasonably conflatable with me denying that these people exist. That would be insane of me to do that. I would never do that.
That's the feeling that I got when I say, I worry people
that's on you. Now you're reading into my words.
Well, you're always reading into people's words. So you said I was fighting a straw man, and then I said I get frustrated when people accuse me of attacking, and they say that the things I'm attacking don't even exist. And then you say, you kind of are, which does imply that the thing that I'm describing doesn't exist, right? Like, isn't that
no, I don't agree with you. No, I didn't say that at all.
Okay.
No, I've been very clear about
Then let's just move on. Okay, so so you agree those people existed.
Sorry,
yes, obviously, I've literally said that like 3 times in this conversation. Of course I agree. There's people. I mean, again, but that doesn't change anything about what I'm actually arguing because okay,
so they do exist.
Hold on a second. Wait, let me give you an example. If we do, let's take like a Ben Shapiro type. Let's say Ben Shapiro picks on some like pedophile trans person, okay, and says, "Hey, this person exists," and then Ben Shapiro goes and makes a video talking about trans people and pedophilia, and you might recognize that, oh yeah, maybe the person he was talking about existed, and maybe when you confront them on it, he would go, oh, and I'm not comparing
this
you.
This is the comparison you're making is so extraordinary.
No, it is not. I just said, let me use an extreme example to clarify what I'm saying. I just said that. Come on. Do you like, I feel like, I don't know, maybe like
all of my content is queer friendly, and it wasn't just one person. It was an entire onslaught of arguments that came from me from my own chat and from the broader community. And in discussion of this, it was pretty clearly not condemning Pride or gay people. I was condemning some of these arguments that people were using to defend kink at Pride, because some of those arguments were really bad and really suspect.
And in your attempt to, in your mind, perhaps hit a certain group of people, you were hitting a lot of people. And I think that's very, very bad.
Apart from the few times that I said, "Oh my God, you're all pedophiles,"
they're both
it's not just, "Oh my God, you're all pedophiles."
Wait, hold on. So the hyperbolic accusations that you're referring to are ones that were not made.
Oh, you broke his axles.
The worst
you
ones,
broke
where
his
I just
axles.
said, "Oh my God, you're all pedophiles." Those came from a segment that I never released. The video that I released and the tweets that I made only included me accusing people of pedophilic tendencies for making arguments that I specifically described. So with that being said, where was the collateral damage?
Wait, like the collateral damage? The collateral damage is fucking all over the place. Have you seen Twitter? Literally, I didn't even.
I mean,
like,
which
again,
groups of
I
people
brought up my
were
own example
that didn't deserve it?
What's that?
Which groups of people?
Oh, I think there's a lot of people. I think there's a fuckload of people who are getting flack on this for having
E3,
kink and pride takes that are different than yours, but aren't fucking advocating for pedophilia, who are now having accusations of pedophilia slung at them.
So,
and that's because, I'm not saying that you're individually going after
beautiful.
That, of course not. That would be absurd.
Beautiful
but what you did do is you started this fucking discourse this time around.
This reminds me of people. Whenever I make criticisms of like the LGBT community online, of which I, as a member of it, have plenty. People will often say like, okay, your arguments were good, and the things you were criticizing exist, but conservatives are going to use these arguments too in bad faith.
Okay, let me be really clear.
I feel like the only other thing I can do is just not speak on the negative elements of those communities, and I can't do that, and nobody should do that. Criticism can improve a community. So I think what we have to do here is recognize that, hey,
what was on Twitter?
And I want to be really clear about this. Even if I had never opened my mouth, a lot of you were going to get called pedos.
What's up, James? What's going on?
Big cultural discourse, a lot of lefties online putting their foot in their mouths pretty hard. I like Big Joel, but man, did his tweet thread come off like massive conservative condemnation bait. It feels like a lot of people on the left are like ignorant to how bad things can get out there. Like the idea that I'm responsible for the entire...
But this is neither here nor there. You've gone off on like another tangent. This has nothing. What does Big Joel like? I don't know what Big Joel has anything to do with what I'm saying.
I feel like what I said was pretty relevant to what you just said. I don't think I'm solely responsible for the discourse, and I don't think the existence of
obviously you're not solely responsible for the entire kink at Pride discourse. But I think that there is enough view counts and interaction. For fuck's sake, your name was trending with kink at Pride. So yeah, sorry, but you really kicked this one off this way.
I'm responsible for every lefty who got called a pedo.
I'm not. I never said that. Why can't you engage with these in actually try to hear what I'm saying? Like it sounds like you're desperate.
Then what is the collateral damage? Who got the
collateral damage
is a product of me that didn't deserve it, apart from the incredibly hyperbolic and super broad condemnations that came out from
I don't think that all of your accusations were as clearly hyperbolic and hyper broad as you'd like to think. And this is my reaction as somebody who watched the videos and responded, go, wow, damn, that seems like a fucking broad blast. And I do think that especially, and I know that you know this, I know that you agree with me on this, because that on issues like this, we have to be careful with rhetoric.
I agree, but I don't,
yes.
I've never said otherwise. I said,
and yet at the same time, you're refusing to, you continue to play, you continue throughout this conversation to downplay. I say, hey, when you started out, and there's tons of, no, wait, listen, hold on, let me finish. You asked me like multiple questions. I'm going to finish my point now. Okay. So when you ask me what's the collateral, and I point to Twitter and I go, your name and kink at Pride is trending, and in every single conversation, everybody who touches it is getting called a pedo if you so much as disagree with their take. And by the way, there are a lot of people who specifically referenced your argument and said, I think Vaush is the right take on this, and if you disagree, these were people that I got in my comments. And I'm not saying a lot of them. There were a few, and I know you're not responsible for every single one. But I think that there are lines that you can acknowledge and say, damn, opening this up with broad and vague accusations of pedophilia against other queer people.
Already admitted that a little bit.
Can't. I'm gonna work. Okay, if you bring this up again, I have to hang up because I can't go. I can't do the 11th time.
You asked me what the collateral is, and I'm describing it.
No. You can describe the collateral without saying once more, it was irresponsible of me to make hyperbolic accusations of pedophilia, because I know that. Okay.
Then you know the collateral. Then you should know the collateral.
That's not the same as knowing the collateral. Okay. Because I engage in a lot of hyperbole on this stream. And I don't think that because I trended on Twitter and people on the left got called pedophiles, that means there's a direct one-to-one connection.
Everything I say,
me doing that, like
that is not rhetorically effective. It's just hyperbole, guys.
Especially since the most publicized content that I engaged in was much more directed and responsible with the accusations that I made. So with all of that being said, One of the other issues that I have is that the overstatement of harm can be really destructive in these instances. I got an fuck ton of abuse online for this, and all the takes you can find on Twitter are pretty milquetoast. I think the well was poisoned ubiquitously by pretty much every major actor who participated in it, and it's frustrating to me that I know I'm the only one who's going to get burnt on this. That there
You're not the only one.
Wait, hold on. All the rando Twitter queer accounts that got 20,000 likes giving their dumb fuck takes on this are going to fade into anonymity afterwards. This is going to stick to me for years. So yes, I am the only one. Wait. I'm the only one who's going to get burned for this, okay? Now, hey, you know what? I also make 6 figures. I accept the consequences of being a public figure.
Ooh,
but
public figure.
It's frustrating to me that you would come on here and just try to grind my nose and the irresponsibility, the bad faith, the poisoning.
Come on.
You've mentioned it like a dozen times.
No, I was trying to listen. Wait, hold on.
Context.
Real quick. Before you try to accuse me of trying to come on here.
You were grinding my nose in it. You've brought it up a dozen times. We keep acknowledging it over and over and over again.
Fuck. Are you this defensive? Like, look.
Bring it up again and we'll see.
All right, listen. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for subjecting chat to engaging in apparently my humiliation dom kink. I didn't mean to do that, but that was not my intention at all. That's never been my intention. Please don't read intention into me. I feel like you're being very defensive about that. Yes, we're both very spicy. We both are very contentious. We both have. I mean, you opened this again. You've already admitted, and I have. We know. We just talked about this.
Oh, look at me.
That's kind of that.
Make sure to bring it up again in 5 minutes for any.
No, I'm not. This is what we're talking about, Vaush. What the fuck do you want from me? You want me just say okay?
As I understood it, the way arguments work is that once you make an argument and it gets acknowledged and accepted, you generally move on to the next argument rather than continuing to cycle back to it. But that might just be
that's fine. But also this entire tangent came off from you asking me what the collateral was, and then I tried to respond, and you took contest with my definition of collateral.
Okay, now, so I've responded to that, and I've said that the well was already mega poisoned all around, and I don't think there's a strong link. Or at the very least, I think you're overstating the extent to which the unpublished hyperbolic accusations that I made contributed to how poisoned the discourse was. I feel like there were a ton of factors that contributed to it, and you're like really hyper fixating on that one bit.
Nope. I'm talking to you. Wait, hold on. Wait. No, because you just said your thing, and I want to respond to that. Like, what say? So, no, I don't think I've overstated any harm. You asked me for the collateral. I described the collateral, I believe, very accurately. And while I don't think that you're the only person who contributed to this, I've never claimed that. I am talking to you. I'm talking to you right now.
Of course.
Which means,
But when you're only talking to one participant, the extent to which... So I don't remember the exact words you used, but you came into this discussion with some extremely fiery condemnations of my behavior.
Yeah, no, I had condemnations for what we already settled, and you admitted that you don't agree with it. I personally think that it's more serious than you're giving it credit for, but I recognize now that we've reached the point where you acknowledge that.
And I think the pedo defense shit from the online left was way more serious than you give it credit for.
Okay, well, what pedo defense? Let's go through them then. If you think that there's one, then why don't we talk about those? Because that could be super interesting. If we want to talk about whether we think there's whether so-called pedo defenses are actually pedo defenses or not, I think that would be an interesting discussion, because I think I haven't seen many, if any, pedo defenses. And so when you've talked about this entire thing, it seemed like a lot of hyperbole, and that's where my thrust comes from.
You want to argue with me over my memory of takes that I saw in my chat and on Twitter, and the extent to which I believe they were in the ballpark of defending like sexual abuse of children?
The entirety of this discussion.
What if you just took my word for like that? This feels like the thorniest path to take.
Okay, so wait, we acknowledge that you've overfired with your response. We acknowledge that the rhetoric, yes, right, correct. Did you not just acknowledge that, or are you backing off on that now? No. We just agreed on this.
We just agreed on it an hour ago. Yeah, it's still true.
Sick. So you overfired. Okay. So there we go. Now, when you overfire with pedophilia specifically, that's gonna be that
was my fault. I played terrible that entire game.
And then if I say, okay, so then what? And then you respond to me when I say, damn, you're calling people pedophiles. Who are you talking about? And you say random chatters. And I'm like, okay, but this has been part of a bigger conversation that has led to you making a lot of tweets and you implying that there are a lot of people who do this. So if that's the case, what are the arguments that you've seen around on the online left that you've seen being made by people that are so problematic that you feel the need to denounce queer communities and whatever online?
No, hold on. Wait, whoa.
Cannot lose
denounce
again.
Queer communities? I'm sorry, did at any point I see people on Twitter and go, the entire gay community is a pedophile? Did I do this? Why would you say that?
I think in this, look, I can admit perhaps that was a miswording of my part.
Fine, that's fine. That's fine. We all speak. Yeah,
I wasn't trying to be like spicy. Yeah.
Okay.
Like I was just trying to say, like, in this conversation, I believe you've said it's like something along the lines of it's a serious issue among gay issues online, like gay communities online. This is a serious issue. This stuff is propagating in these communities. Am I wrong about that? Did you not say that in your videos?
I think it propagates in every community, but there are certain ways in which I think you can misuse woke language to get away with enabling abusive behavior. So remember Jessica Yaniv, Blair White, fixation extraordinaire?
Yes, of course. Absolutely.
Okay.
How could I ever forget that?
not Blair White, Jessica Yaniv was very, I don't know if the word's effective, but very insistent on using progressive arguments to enable sexual abuse and generally abusive behavior of the people around her, up to and including body positivity being used as an excuse for her to be the sole chaperone for an underage topless party. You're transphobic if you don't wax my genital, et cetera, et cetera. So now, am I to say that pedophilia and sexual abuse are only problems in the LGBTQ community? Of course not. But there are ways in which LGBTQ community members can use specific language to get away with their bullshit. It's cultural too. Americans will use different excuses than like Saudi Arabians. Like, it's just with the communities that you're in dictate the ways in which you can abuse people around you. So some of the takes that I saw made me really, really uncomfortable, like viscerally uncomfortable. Now, this all sparked around that picture of the little girl next to that Folsom leather pride thing where there were the guys in the dog gimp thing and the leash and whatever.
The one that was from Operation Pridefall. Yes.
The one that was taken from a picture from Folsom Leather Fair, and I never claimed otherwise. Yes, thank you.
Okay.
And it wasn't it Folsom? No, yeah, I'm pretty sure it was Folsom. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was Folsom.
Yeah, but whatever the case is. So I don't like stuff like that because I think that those are public displays of sexual kink. And I think the children shouldn't be around that. Maybe that makes me a crazy neocon. Okay, whatever. I stand by that position. I just think there's a lot of potential for harm and abuse there.
But see, nobody's like, I'm not saying you're a crazy neocon. Nobody's saying you're a crazy neocon. But when that gets conflated into a conversation about kink at Pride, which is, this is the vague thing that I keep in mind.
Initially, I only showed that picture and I said, yeah, I think
that'd be a great idea.
Good. But then people in my chat started people in my chat started defending the little girl being next to the sex dog leather thing, and they were saying stuff like, I mean, I feel like gross just saying this, but they were saying stuff like, look at the girl, she looks happy, she clearly doesn't have an issue with it, or like, nudity isn't inherently sexual anyway. And these types of behaviors, not only are they representative of ways by which you can justify abuse of others, I have heard them from attempted abusers of me. So that kind of stuff makes me really uncomfortable. And the frustration I had with the initial stream is that when I condemned these people, a lot of the people didn't see me condemning people engaging in really, really creepy behavior. They saw me being a neocon about pride. So more people in my chat who aren't pedophiles started defending people who gave takes that were really suspect to me. And I, of course, banned some of these people, and I grew increasingly frustrated as more and more people accused me of being homophobic with my bans. Like I'm banning gay people, or I'm banning pride-friendly people. And could I have handled this better? Certainly. But you know what? I defer to a classic woke defense, which was that I was a little bit fucking triggered by seeing some shit that made me really uncomfortable in my community.
Yes.
So I went for it, and I banned a lot of people. And maybe a lot of those people didn't deserve to be banned because they didn't know what they were criticizing me for doing, and that's fine. And hey, if you got banned unfairly, you can email me, and I will unban you. I can check your logs. I'm very liberal with unbans, okay? But then I went on Twitter, and I saw thousands of people with those takes because they're so desperate to not look like a conservative prude that they will defend anything to own the cons, including shit like that.
I wasn't paying attention. I mean, like, okay,
that's what I saw.
Like
that describes my
final
experience.
game on this.
That's what I felt.
Do you think that that's like representative of like?
Do
you think that that's like
what do I do?
representative of like the left's position on this? Because a lot of the claims you've made, even in this stream, has been that the left has a big problem with this. And okay, like if that's the case, then let's see it. Let's talk about the actual problems. If it's random, I understand. If there's people on Twitter, people say horrible shit on Twitter all the time, but first of all, this issue with, we're talking about the Folsom thing, has obviously been conflated with the issue of Pride at Kink, which is a completely different, or Kink at Pride, which is totally, in my opinion, a totally different issue. And it has led to a fever pitch where you can't even talk about it. I can't even say something like, hey, Kinksters have had a huge historical impact in Pride, and I don't think that they should be, just because that some of them are deemed too edgy or whatever for public, the light of public day. Guess what? My parents, I talked about this on my stream, my fucking parents, two of my parents literally believe that being trans is a kink and use that as a reason to threaten my life.
Okay.
You know what I mean? That is weaponized.
So obviously that's fucked up, what you just described, your experience. Right. But from my perspective, I couldn't even call out overtly abusive behavior without getting condemned so hard by the LGBTQ community that I went trending nationally. You can
look, why? Do you think it could have been?
The reason why is the same reason good people got banned from my chat. Because they saw two groups. They saw creepy fucking lefties defending creepy fucking shit with kids, and they saw me. And the left hates me more than they hate the former group. So they came out in droves to attack me and implicitly defend the behavior of the earlier group. And that's the problem. That's the problem. So you think the well was poisoned for you? It was poisoned for all of us. And my frustration was that, and my current criticism right now, by the way, is that the community on the left is so insular and so defensive that they would rather attack people making valid criticisms than they would root out the problems within their community. A la Tankies, a la Woke Scolds, all of these pernicious communities in the online left, they would rather side with them against minor criticism.
Okay. Wait. Can you acknowledge that perhaps people, largely queer people, who have been in many times and this is a systemic issue. I know you don't disagree with me. I hope you don't disagree with me on this. That it's a systemic issue that pedophilia has been weaponized historically and currently against gay people, and now especially trans people. People see you being very, and we agreed this was careless about that rhetoric, and respond, and that now we're at this point, and there is a sensation of incredible heat when the rhetoric you chose in that initial thing really, really hit an incredible sore spot and was probably a little bit too vague given the topic, especially with the conflation of the issues at hand.
All I'm going to say is that when I see some legit creepy shit going on to the left, and I point it out, and the rest of the online left, instead of thinking, oh, that is some creepy shit, they instead go, you can't call gay people pedophiles. But see, this is what I'm talking about. You're doing it right now, though.
3 goals, 1 minute.
You're saying the rest of the online left. Wait, do you really think that nobody agrees with you? There's so many fucking people who have agreed with your position with like unflagging zealousness. Like you have a lot of people who agree with your position, not just in your community.
Within the left, this is not true. We were in the minority.
I saw nearly. Wait, I can think of so many other content creators that sided with you. Like we have fucking like.
Just going by likes and retweets, I saw people condemning me with 5-digit likes and retweets. My take on it got ratioed so hard that I went trending. Shoe on Head is the only person ostensibly on the left who had a take aligned with mine that was similar to mine. Big Joel came out against it. Lance came out against it. Sean got like 20,000 likes saying some stupid bullshit that wasn't even relevant to the discussion.
True.
Shoe and I both got ratioed. So again, this isn't like a competition. It's just the frustration to me. The frustration to me is like if I get like upset
2
at
goals,
some
30 seconds
shit that I'm seeing, and I call it out, and like there's an overwhelming avalanche of condemnation driven against me, and very little against the people that I initially had a problem with, like. That's just really.
But that's because there can't possibly be. There can't be condemnation against the handful of people that were in your chat when you're not clear with that.
They were all over the place on Twitter.
No, because all of this predicates on your arguments being specific. Otherwise, when people come to your video, and again, I watch all your stuff. You know this. Like not all of it anymore. I've been too busy with fucking streaming. But you know I've been a part of your community. You know I fucking appreciate your take, and you know that I appreciate you. Okay, look, I know we're spicy, but I hope you know that. Okay, but I will say
they were on Twitter. There were a lot of them, and nobody was calling them out. Because people on the left don't want to be accused of infighting. They're terrified of it. That's why they hate me. I'm the only one brave enough to infight on the left.
No, that's not true.
No, that is true.
I disagree with you.
Yes, Vaush. People on the left are too scared to infight. Nobody on the left ever infights. Only Vaush. The only person. Only Vaush is willing to do it. It never happens. Literally never.
Lefties will take any dumb fuck position if it means they get to stay part of the social club. And it's not cool to say, hey, there are problems with some of the rhetoric we use for sex positivity at Pride. That's not a cool take to make. It sounds like a conservative take.
Vosh, that's not the take you made, though. We know this. We've already acknowledged this. That's not the take you made. The take you made was, here's my problems with kink. Here I'm going to make a fuckload of jokes about how these people just want to waggle their dicks in the face of kids. That's a quote of you.
Some of those people, yeah. No, I think some of those people unironically should be banned from Pride.
But you surely can understand where when you conflate those two things, that is going to, by the rhetoric, this is not an issue of other people reading into you. Your own words were limited in such a way that many people are not going to be able to conclude that.
I recognize that, but I feel like the statements I made warranted enough specificity to give people a clear outline of the problem, and that people jumped on any excuse they could find to not take it seriously because, I mean, realistically, because Vaush bad. Some of the takes that I saw online were insane.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you there. I apologize.
It's fine. No, wait, I'm sorry. I want to be clear. I'm not saying that I couldn't have been more specific because I've said that multiple times. But the way this all went down, in my opinion, is reflective of some pretty major problems in the online left. Like, this is ridiculous. So, I mean, I can run down all the big ones that I remember. There was the massive tweet saying that kids don't even belong at Pride, which I think, by the way, is a homophobic statement. If you're like the people who need Pride more than anyone else are like queer, questioning, and trans kids because they're the ones who have the least amount of
Sorry, you cut out again. Hold on, you cut out again.
There was a huge tweet saying that kids shouldn't even be at Pride, which I think is a horrible take and maligns a lot of underrepresented people. Sean's take, where he said, have you considered that you can see boobs on television, was absolutely moronic because nobody was talking about that. But I saw the replies to that tweet, hundreds and thousands of likes, which means tens of thousands of people participating, which means hundreds of thousands of people supporting the idea that my criticisms were saying I had a problem with any kink at Pride, or that I had a problem with dudes going shirtless at Pride. Guys, for those of you who are on Twitter, how many counter arguments were making responses to positions that I've never made? They were making counter arguments suggesting that I believed in things that I didn't believe. This was all over the place.
Wait. Hold on a second. We're getting way ahead of the conversation here. So there's two ways we can go with this. Like, one, I can explain. We can continue to talk about this, and I can explain to you where I think in your videos. And I do think this, by the way. I have a notepad of this. It's not because I don't like you. It's because I really appreciate your stuff, and I have some critiques about the way that you approach this issue. However, I could bring up specific examples that I think led to people having responses like that, which I don't think that Sean getting a quippy burn on you. And I don't agree with Sean's takes, but I don't think that Sean getting a quippy burn on you that responds to like one of your arguments in these videos is like equivalent to you. Like I don't even think it's equivalent. I don't even think that's just somebody got a dunk on you that might be slightly unfair.
First of all, it has to be my argument for it to be a dunk on me. And second of all of the burns that we're looking at, all the discourse took place on Twitter. So if we're going to determine the significance of different positions, we kind of have to look at Twitter engagement to do this. By which I got massively outpaced by a wide range of people with very stupid arguments. And by the way, if you can read frustration into my voice, like I do get frustrated by this stuff. Yeah, I feel like there are predators right now that nobody is paying attention to. Not only is nobody paying attention to them, but people are being baited into defending them because the alternative makes them look like they're being a prude about kink at Pride. And that to me is really fucked up because that means, and this is a statistical certainty, that somebody either has been or will be abused because somebody didn't take seriously a criticism because it in some way resembled a conservative complaint at Pride. I'd be willing to bet this has happened many times.
Sure,
just like numbers game. Yeah.
These are sort of, this is like gut check. Like this is, I don't know. If we want to talk about specifics, sure. I don't know. Like this is the thing.
I don't have numbers on the number of people.
Yeah, I know. But do you see how but do you see how this what we're saying here is very different than the previous thing. Okay. So like, I'm okay with us talking about these things, but like, I just feel like, we're getting to a point where in this conversation, we're now talking about Sean and Big Joel. Do we want to talk about the actual takes? I'd be more than happy. In fact, I'd be super comfortable talking about specific.
What is SMT?
Takes and giving you my input on these takes and where I disagree.
I played Democracy 3 before.
In that sort of thing. Now that we've
got that is.
It's just like as long as you agree with my belief that like a big chunk of Pride should be reserved for like a non-controversial kid family friendly thing, then that's like really it. I just know, like I just know for a fact that there are a lot of kids, because there are kids in my audience who want to be able to attend these events to meet other people with problems and desires similar to them, not like sexism, but like desire for social acceptance, and they don't do it. They can't do it because these events are ostracizing by way of their overt sexuality and kinkiness, and that's fine for a lot of it. But there has to be a section left uncontroversial, and people have accused me of trying to sanitize Pride, and I haven't even complained about the biphobia yet. But there has been so much shit thrown at me for this take, and it feels so reasonable.
I would agree with you. And I would ask that we could perhaps disentangle these things because I don't think that was your original take. Maybe you think it was. I don't think that was portrayed clearly. However, if all that you're saying is that there should be kid-friendly areas of Pride, sure, of course, there's going to be no disagreement with me. The problem that I have is a greater push to condemn, to stigmatize, to make people who aren't pedos out to be pedos. I don't like any of that. That is moral panic shit that leads to, wait, I'm not saying you're doing this.
Don't look at my screen,
I'm just trying.
Okay? My facial.
No, I reset.
Oh, come on! I get roasted about facial expressions. My entire life is getting roasted about facial expressions.
Well, I didn't assume you were making. Okay, all right. Are you streaming?
I'm making lots of them. No, I'm not. Of course not. Okay. It's my off day.
Okay.
No, I'm not. I'm making all kinds of faces right now. Man, chat would be losing it if they could see my face right now. I'm like,
I acknowledge I could have communicated this better, and this is the reason why I tried to explain to you the emotional state that I was in when I made very angry condemnations. Because, like, man, as someone who already gets a lot of hate online, not to like be a baby or whatever, but like I already get a lot of hate online. I rely on the solidarity of my community a lot. So for me to say like, oh yeah, we probably shouldn't be doing this, and it's like the kid next to the dog fuck thing, and then somebody in chat's like, what's wrong with that? What kid looked like she's having fun? I banned that person, and then 6 people in chat are saying, wait, hold on, what'd you ban that person for? Are you like being a prude or something? I banned those 6 people. Like it escalates really, really hard, and obviously it's my job
Hearts
as a public figure to responsibly manage
a little
my feelings
bit. Hearts
and
of Iron
face
4
like
I had.
But
yes,
nobody does it perfectly. In my emotional state, this is why the hyperbole, etc., etc. But beyond that, like when we get just to the argument, like I feel like it's pretty defensible, right?
Okay, so if the argument, and this is the argument you're going to be going forward with, then 100%. I think that having safe, kid-friendly areas of Pride, which already exist all over the place, that's fine. I'm not in disagreement with you at all. That's
sometimes I think there could be more. I think some Pride events played up a little too hard with that.
Maybe, but I mean, I don't think that's like a unique thing to Pride. Again,
what
and
are
my
you
other
doing?
issue of it is that, and I recognize that, like I'm not accusing you of this, but I think that we should be able to discuss this.
Everybody, thank you for hanging out. I'm running a 5K in the morning. So I'm gonna go to bed. Susie, hi. Jay, thank you so much for $5. Oh, you're leaving? Well, I'm leaving too. Thank you so much for super chat. Is the bike game on Game Pass? Yeah, Descenders. It's a really good game. Yeah, there's like obstacle courses. There's a bunch of like stunt areas. It's really fun. Thank you so much for $5, Jay. Talking in circles now. Can't do this anymore. Vaush better have called out K&K about burn your bust, or I lose respect. Tomorrow, when the video comes out, or not the video, when the free audio comes out of the Vaush on Krystal and Kyle, I'll hop on and play some Rocket League or something, and we can listen to it then tomorrow. What's my PR? They don't track it. It just tells you. I did the one in under 10 minutes, which is pretty good. All right, everybody. Oh, here's the Discord. Oh, no. Here is the Discord if you want to chat at all. Like I said, I'm in Discord a lot. So if you say something, I'll probably be in there. Yes, take care, everyone. Hope you all sleep well. Have good sleeps. Have good nights and everything, you know? There's some other games I'm going to try playing eventually, but I like competitive games, I guess. Okay. Good night. Thank you. I'll let you know. Let you know how it goes. Let y'all know. I meant to say y'all. I'll let y'all know how it goes.